of November as Election Day. The announcement means eligible South Africans have until midnight to register to vote or to update their details online. This is when the voters' roll will close, marking the official start of the 90-day countdown to Election Day. IEC Chairperson Mosotho Moepwa says the proclamation paves the way for the publication of the election timetable.
The election timetable marks the formal commencement of the electoral process, providing legal certainty and operational clarity to all electoral stakeholders, including political parties.
Lawyers for the National Council of Provinces continued with their arguments in the Western Cape High Court today related to a defect on a provision of the Expropriation Act. Government has asked the court to reject challenges to the law brought by 4 organizations. Lawyers for the NCOP have dealt with a proposed court-ordered remedy today to be added to the Act to remedy that defect. Carlo Peterson has more.
The NCOP and the President this week conceded that a section of the Act dealing with compensation disputes contains an error that creates a circular process. Lawyer for the NCOP, Lerato Zikalala, today told the court the remedy which will allow parties to approach the courts to resolve compensation disputes is already in the Act.
That second limb is sourced directly from Section 74A of the Act, where a party can submit the written statement disputing the amount of offer for compensation in terms of Section 90.
Arguments by lawyers for the Speaker of Parliament and Minister of Land Reform are expected to follow later today. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
In Cape Town, police are investigating another gun violence incident which has left 2 people dead in Athlone. It's understood the 2 were gunned down in an attack earlier today. Police spokesperson Tembakazi Mpendugana says the motive for the attack is not yet known.
A murder case has been opened at Athlone SAPS following a shooting incident that took the lives of 2 male victims aged 29 and 32 at Sage Crescent in Athlone. The motive for this incident is currently unknown.
And Pope Leo XVI is expected to meet victims of clerical sexual abuse during an official visit to France in September. This has been confirmed by an itinerary released by the Vatican ahead of that trip. A 2021 inquiry found that about 330,000 people in France had been abused as minors by clergy or lay members of the church. The abuse spanned over 70 years. In May this year, a group representing abuse victims from a Catholic school requested an audience with the Pope during his upcoming visit. The group wants to present reform plans for the church to tackle abuse better. While gold is trading at $4,369.35 an ounce, the rand is at 16.10 to the dollar, 21.75 to the pound, 18.64 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $83.24 a barrel.
Kempton Park, accident scene, R24 eastbound. This is approaching OR Tambo International Airport. That accident scene causing heavy delays leaving Edenville. One in Bursley. Kempton Park still. There's also bumper traffic on Morafontein Road. This is between Pretoria Road and De Vickers. And look out for those faulty traffic lights in 4 ways at Witkoppen and Cedar.
In your sport, Banyana ready for battle in their WAFCON quarterfinal against Morocco. Mbegezeli Mbogazi ruled out for the rest of the year. And Dave Rennie looking for answers as the All Blacks go up against the Stormers.
It's a fine Friday afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 22 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the National Joint Operational and Intelligence Structure has raised concern over the recent murders of politicians across the country.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
A very good afternoon, everyone. It's 7 minutes past 3 on Friday, the 7th of August. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Welcome to the show. In just over 24 hours, Banyana will be looking to produce some more of this.
Looking into the middle. And Katlana is in behind. One chance, one goal. And South Africa lead in a game they have to win. And that is the start they wanted, just 21 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, Thembi Kgatlana scoring that all-important goal against Burkina Faso. Can she and her teammates come up with more against Morocco? The crowd, in their numbers, in their loudest voices, will be squarely against our team. But hey, they've won in hostile circumstances before. Can they do it this time? We'll talk about that in more detail after 5 o'clock. The election date has been now formally proclaimed. Of course, we always knew what the date was going to be. And now we move into a series of, what can I call it, landmarks, I suppose. Dates that come and go, and certain things have to be done by the time those dates are reached. We'll find out more about that a little bit later in the show. But earlier today, we heard from the chair of the IEC, Usutu Muepia.
The proclamation provides certainty by formally setting Wednesday, 4 November 2026 as election day. It also marks the commencement of the country's 89-day election timetable leading up to these elections.
We'll be talking to another of the IEC's leadership, Judge Daya Pillay, after 4 o'clock. Over the last couple of days this week, around 100 specialist doctors have been admitted to the various specialist colleges. Now, we've often spoken about the shortage of medical specialists in South Africa, the fact that often they get lured to other countries for a whole range of reasons. But this is a group of people, and a substantial one at that, that is now going to be available to work in the South African healthcare system, including in our public hospitals. So what does this tell us about the state of training and, crucially, the extent to which we actually realize that investment in actual health services? We'll talk a little later to Professor Eric Buch, who is the CEO of the Colleges of Medicine of South Africa. He's my guest at 10 to 4. MasterChef is kind of moving into the semi-final stages. It's getting really quite exciting.
This week on MasterChef,
we've got a very special guest, none other than Peter Duncan.
This is a world-recognized chef. We're in some serious game time here.
Your semi-final challenge is to recreate Chef Peter's Verskop soup in a fine dining pressure test.
That masterpiece. We've got another surprise for you.
Yeah, Peter.
MasterChef South Africa, every Sunday at 6 p.m. only on E!
Sorry, I was a little quick there, Peter, but I am rather looking forward to talking to Peter Duncan, head chef at La Petite Colombe. And I'm really interested to know somebody who's reached the kind of culinary heights that he has. What's it like working with aspirants and worse or better, I suppose, asking them to recreate his favorite dish? If you didn't hear it clearly, fish head soup. Peter Duncan is my guest at 10 to 5. Looking forward to that chat. Actually, at 10 to 5, we'll have Randall's One Song. Peter Duncan's a little earlier. But Randall's One Song, we always do it on a Friday. Here's a taste of what Mr. Abrams has in store for us. Yeah, it's not a band I know. It's not an artist I've ever heard before. Boy Golden is who we're going to be listening to and talking about with Randall later in the show. And in our other Friday feature, A Song, a Book and a Dish, we'll have two guests this time. Well, to be honest, we only invited the man and said, please, don't bring your puppet. But you never quite know. Conrad Koch, creator of Chester Missing, is my guest at 20 to 6. The markets are finishing off a generally excellent week in grand style. Big positive moves for the rand and the gold price. A strong day on the JSE and more positive news on platinum. Let's start with the rand. Our currency is trading at 16 rand 16 against against the dollar were 16.70. What, 8-10 days ago? Anyway, the rand 15 cents stronger than it was this time yesterday. A euro will cost you 18 rand 70. That's a 12-cent gain for the rand, and 21 rand 81 will get you a pound. That's a 15-cent gain over 24 hours for the rand against sterling. Turning to gold, listen to this. The price of the precious metal today alone is up by $109.91. That certainly put fuel in the tank of the big miners of the metal. Anglo Gold is up by 8.5%. Harmony has risen 8.1%, and Goldfields is up by 7.9%. That's fueled a 2,160-point gain for the all share and a 5.5% rise in the resources index, which is in part due to a nice bump in the platinum price as well. Platinum today up by $25.50. So all pretty rosy, I would have to say. The oil price is down by $1.40 a barrel. Still, though, above that $80 mark, currently trading for a barrel of Brent crude at $82.10. Stephen Curtis joins us with all the market news at 4:25. We'll do sport with Tola Kele Mganga. Karabo Chali has the traffic news, and Bali Dlamini back at 3:30 with the very latest news headlines. This is 702 Drive. We'll bring you the stories as soon as we get them, as clearly and absolutely fully as we possibly can. But you know what? There's stories we don't know about, and there are details we might miss on the stories we're covering. That's where you come in. Please give us a call on 072 702 1702 if there's something that you've got a very clear idea about, or something that's happened that we might not know about at all. A call if you like, if you want to chat, 011 883 0702. 702 Drive, it's 14 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Just want to remind you that you can watch us on YouTube, and I especially want to mention that today because Rifue Letsua is wearing, in general, an outfit of serious fabulousness. I mean, I often joke about Karabo. No. Oh, okay. I thought you were going to take off that. She has a hat that I can only call splendid. Yeah. Seriously good hat. So please go to YouTube. And just type in John Perlman 702 Drive live, and you can see all of us. I've made my usual effort. We'll leave it at that. But Rifue, that is some hat.
Yeah,
some hat.
I
What
love it.
style? Is it special occasion hat or just today?
Not special occasion hats.
I've never seen it before.
I wear it when I'm feeling like
hat.
It's a
like
Friday.
a hat.
Yeah.
It's a Friday. Wear a hat, Rifue. So yeah.
Guys, next week I'm coming in a hat.
I want to see this.
No, we can't wear it because with our headphones. But I think everyone's got to bring a hat.
Yeah.
And I'm not here next Friday. Okay,
no.
Thursday. All right, Thursday hat day. Remind me of that. So Karabo, you sent us something to chat about.
Yeah.
And I'll let you speak about it, but it's basically about things that everyone's talking about, everybody's buzzing about, and you saying, well, it'll pass. I'm just not going to do it.
100%.
What made you think of that? But more than that, give us examples of stuff that you just decided couldn't be bothered.
So this week, the whole of this week, since actually last week, the Spider-Man movie came out on Friday last week. Yes. And my son has been going on and on. I'm not a Marvel fan. I've never been. And he's been nagging me to take him to the movies. And I can see everybody's talking about it. So I have no choice but to take him this weekend with his friends. So what sparked this? That's actually what sparked this conversation. What's something that is or was hugely popular. And but you were like, I'll wait for the hype to die down and get into it. For me, particularly was the Harry Potter books. I remember I was working at an exclusive books, and when the last one of the books, I think it was the last one, when it was being launched, we opened at 12 o'clock midnight. We had a midnight launch, and it was like something special. But I kid you not, John, the line outside the store at midnight was like, are you guys serious? And I only read the book later on in life. I think I read it when I left exclusive books.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, actually, I get the hype. But like, what is that thing that you kind of avoided being part of the hype and waited for it to die out, and then later on you delved into it and you thought, oh, geez, I should have.
My examples are quite embarrassing in a way because I've always been an incredibly slow adopter of technology. And I'm coming to it really late. So I had friends saying to me, why aren't you on the internet? I know this sounds ridiculous. Like, we want to be able to contact you. Well, email, what is this? You know, call me or whatever. I was one of the last people I knew to get a mobile phone. I don't know why. And I don't think I had a thing of, I'm going to go against the flow. It wasn't. I'm just very slow out of the blocks when it comes to tech. How about you? Something, Rifue, that was hyped. I know there was a big thing for a while about fabulous hats, but clearly you didn't resist that. Okay, last comment on your hat. But seriously, I mean, is there stuff that everybody was buzzing about and you just said, you know what, I'm not doing this?
Good afternoon, John, and to the rest of the 702 family. For me, it was the air fryer. Every second person I knew had an air fryer.
I was slow on that as well.
And even I eventually got one, and I kind of understand where the hype was because, I mean, even when I was invited to birthday parties, it was like, please buy me an air fryer, please buy me an air fryer. So I get the hype. I have an air fryer now. It has changed my life in terms of my meal prep. When I make my meal prep, it's quite cool. And matcha tea. Yeah? Matcha tea, you know, like the green tea they put in powder and milk. It's called matcha tea. Tastes like grass. Yeah, I don't understand the hype.
You're watching us on YouTube, blank face.
Please Google, it's matcha tea.
Two blank faces, matcha tea.
I think it's Japanese, yes.
Okay.
I think the purest form of green tea, yes. It's quite good for you. I didn't understand the hype. I still don't. I drink it for the nutritional benefits. Apparently, it's an antioxidant. It gives you vitality.
And does it?
I don't know. I just like tea. I just drink it because I'm a tea person.
So far, you've sold me the air fryer. I think I'm going to go for it.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
I've got good deals for you.
Get the air fryer. And, you know, maybe there's a special, like a tin of, what's the tea?
Matcha tea.
Buy an air fryer and get a free tin of matcha tea.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell us, I mean, things that other people are getting excited about, hyped about, and you just didn't buy into it. And I'm curious to know as well, if you send us something, when you send us something, about what drives that? Is it you saying, I'm not going to jump up and down for every fad? Or is it a bit like me that you're just really slow out of the blocks on certain things, which I have to say I am? Give us a call, 011-883-0702, 072-702-1702. Friday, let's get the very latest traffic news. Sometimes at 3:20, there's not a lot happening, but Fridays we get rush hour early. Is that happening today?
Most definitely, John. Off to a busy Friday afternoon. So this time, let me start in Kempton Park, Birchley area. If you are on the Modderfontein Road, there's a slow-moving traffic. This is between Pretoria Road and De Vickers. Still in Kempton Park, heading towards OR Tambo International Airport. That's leaving the Edenvale area. There's an accident scene on the R24 eastbound near the R21, causing heavy delays already in Midrand, heading towards Centurion. Bumper-to-bumper traffic. N1 northbound. This is between the Batlu interchange and Olifantsfontein Road in Tembisa. I see there's about a 30-minute delay on Olifantsfontein Road. This is between Madiba Street and the R21. Not sure what's causing this delay. If you're in the Tembisa area trying to leave the township, please let me know what's going on Olifantsfontein Road heading towards the R21. You can WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Isn't there an opportunity here, Mr. Khanyago, to say we're going to at least suggest a 2-year imprisonment? You're probably going to be out after 8 months or after a year on parole. But it's important that there must still be a punitive measure so that he realizes that what he's done is wrong and he shouldn't do it again.
There are many factors that are looked into. Even if we had come, for example, with a 2-year whatever, and the magistrate can still say, no, you can, because of the errors results, because of this, because of that, you can suspend everything. Therefore, all of those things are looked into, and at the end of it all, it is going to be beneficial to the state to get the big fish. It is better to then give a deal. That is why it is called an agreement.
Kaiser Khanyago, the spokesperson at the NPA.
Clement Manyatela.
9 to 12 on 702.
This Sunday, Josie My Josie is doing it again with Main Street Sundays. They're taking over Marshalltown and flipping the script on how Josie moves. One whole street right in the heart of the city, closed off to cars, just people, vibes, and that Main Street magic. Walked with us at the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Come back and relive it. Missed it and caught FOMO? Well, this is your second chance. 702 Soulful Sunday with Kenny and Pushaza will be broadcasting live from Main Street Sundays. So join us on Sunday, this Sunday, from 10 to 5 p.m. Head to josiemyjosie.com for the details and grab your free tickets and come and see what happens when the streets belong to the people. Make Main Street your playground. Babize bonke.
Uncertainty is rising, but your business still has to deliver. Production targets need to be met. And when your workforce is out of balance, the cost is immediate. Too many employees, costs climb. Too few, productivity drops. Workforce staffing helps businesses stay in control with flexible workforce solutions, deployed within 48 hours nationwide. When demand changes, your workforce can change with it. Visit workforcestaffing.co.za. Stay productive, stay flexible, stay in control.
702 sat down with a Liberty expert to unpack how you can plan for your life and legacy.
It's those big life moments that we all aim to go through. Sometimes they happen to us. Getting married. Suddenly, your life changes. You suddenly got to incorporate a partner into your world. You're sharing finances. Possibly you have children. That creates its own financial responsibilities, dependencies that you need to then look at and consider. And all these big moments necessitate almost a review of exactly where you are and where you want to be. Now, think about having children and providing a school education to them. That might be your number one priority. But what happens if something happens to you and you can't provide that income that pays for those school fees? But if that's your number one priority, that's what you need to plan for and protect against.
That was Liberty Life and Legacy Protection Conversations on the Clement Manyatela Show, creating space for the conversations we should be having on 702.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic's early spring season features world-class international conductors and soloists performing with our finest musicians. The program includes favorites by Tchaikovsky, Mozart, and more. Thursday evenings at the Linda Auditorium from 13 August to 3 September at 7:30 p.m. Tickets available at Quicket.
Your business needs an upgraded digital X-ray sensor, but do you have the cash to fund it? Well, before you compromise on the core items that your business needs, have you looked at saving on your business insurance? Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium for general medical practices, dentistries, physiotherapies, and all other businesses. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, of course, one of the big and arguably at times feels like the biggest conversations going on in the country is around immigration, illegal immigration, undocumented workers working in various parts of the South African economy. I suppose a specific focus on that issue is playing out at the moment down in KwaZulu-Natal, in the areas of Pietermaritzburg, but also Hammersdale, which is just to the west side of Durban. And that's because Home Affairs immigration officials plus labor inspectors have been doing a number of raids in that area. It was all taking place today, and our EWN colleague Tabiso Gobo was there. Tabiso, a very good afternoon to you. I never quite know what to make of these kinds of raids, whether it's a way of government saying, look at us, we are actually doing something about the things you say we don't do enough about. What was your impression of the raid today? Is it the first part of a sustained attempt to deal with the problem, or was there a degree of performance about it as well?
Good afternoon, John. I'd say it's a bit of both because you'll remember, John, that in June, this was just before June 30, when these anti-illegal immigration marches were sort of dominating the headlines across the country, that President Cyril Ramaphosa addressed the country and said that there will be 10,000 labor inspectors who are going to be hired and that government is going to come down very hard on these employers who employ people who are undocumented and exploit them. So that's something that the Deputy Minister, Mr. Jomo Sibiya, alluded to today, saying, there has been a mandate from government. Government has given us, a budget. They've given us more labor inspectors, but they've also given us a duty to actually enforce these raids and do more of them. And I think we've seen Mr. Jomo Sibiya, he seems to be the one leading these raids. We've seen him go out to the country leading these raids. And that's what he was doing here today.
Yes.
And it was interesting, John, because we went to this complex. It's a clothing complex in Hammersdale. It looks like it's foreign owned. And there was 28 people who were eventually arrested by the police. Some of them were undocumented, but those who were documented didn't have work permits or work visas, so meaning that they were working in the country illegally. But there was also South Africans, and that's where it got a bit more distressing. We spoke to some of the workers, John. Eventually, as you can imagine, this was a surprise raid, so a lot of the workers were then taken aback, seeing media and cameras and the deputy minister there. But eventually, once it was over, the workers started warming up to us. And we spoke to some of the workers, John, who explained just how difficult the living conditions were there. The working conditions, working more than 8 hours a day, some going up to 12 hours a day. We heard that the cleaner who cleans this entire factory, which is about 100 meters, she earns about 300 every Friday. And not only that, the foreign owners, they make her clean up after their dogs, their cats, and take her back home, where she also has to do gardening for them, and all of this for about 300. So it's quite a thing that was uncovered by the labor inspectors. Now, as we currently stand, the factory has been shut down due to a number of labor violations, but also occupational and health and safety violations. And until those violations are then remedied, that's when the owners can go back to the labor department and then apply to have the factory reopened again.
Thabiso Goba, thank you. I mean, it is interesting when large issues and strong political currents prompt this kind of action. It's possible that the department will say, well, we do these kind of raids all the time. Be that as it may, that for me is not the issue. But it is extraordinary what does get revealed, and it raises questions that if this stuff, it didn't just begin today, or this week, or possibly this month, if this has been going on for a long period of time, the regulatory capacity of the state to make sure people are employed fairly, but also that people are employed legally, appears to be pretty weak. I don't know if I'm wrong about that, and maybe you're a labor inspector. I have to say I've never met anybody who is, but maybe it's a job you've done. And if you stretched incredibly thin, because if the president was talking about employing another 10,000, that would suggest we need many, many more than we currently have. But if it's a world if it's a world in which you've worked, please do call us and share your story. 011 883 0702. It's 3:30. Right, let's go and find out what's happening in the news. A lot of focus on Parliament and, crucially, the rebuilding of that structure that was so damaged by fire all those years ago. Mbali Dlamini has that story and more.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Well, the Development Bank of Southern Africa says the 4.6 billion rand reconstruction of Parliament is on track for completion next year. Today, parliamentarians were taken on a site visit of the new National Assembly building that will be able to accommodate 1,200 people. The DBSA says with construction now 76% complete, Parliament will be able to host next year's State of the Nation address. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
Following the 2022 fire that gutted both Parliament's old and new National Assembly chambers, contractors say they had to contend with several environmental and heritage factors that set the project timeline back by around 4 months. This included a stubborn bedrock and the natural underground streams that run beneath the buildings. But DBSA Executive for Infrastructure, Chwene Rampele, has told Parliament the hurdles are now behind them.
The heritage, the asbestos, had a very serious impact in terms of the 4 months, work that we needed to do. And then that necessitated us to then look at contractual extension of the time.
He says the price tag includes all demolition work and the construction of new offices for MPs in another parliamentary building.
At this point in time, we have no cost overruns. As I said, we are sitting at 52% of the expenditure.
The completion date for the entire project remains June 2027. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
South Africa is boosting its fight against climate change with a $500 million loan agreement with the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. The loan will support the South Africa Metro Trading Services Program, which aims to improve the financial sustainability and performance of municipal services. This includes water and sanitation, electricity and solid waste management. Anelita Fandese reports.
The program is co-financed with the World Bank as part of a broader $3 billion initiative led by the South African government. National Treasury says the funding will also support reforms to improve municipal governance, financial management and operational efficiency while encouraging climate-smart investment. By 2031, the program targets a reduction in non-revenue water from 41% to 28%, while electricity losses are expected to fall from 22% to 12%. The deal also marks the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank's first investment in South Africa and is set to form part of the government's efforts to build more sustainable and resilient cities. Anelita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
And in Greece, authorities have charged 3 people with arson over a wildfire that ravaged large areas near Athens last week. One of those taken into detention is a town mayor who owns an electrical company. Investigators believe the blaze started with a spark from power cables at a wind farm in northwest of Athens. Fanned by strong winds, the fire quickly spread from an overhead medium voltage power line and reached a town about 40 kilometers from Athens. In addition to the forests, scrubland and olive groves ravaged by the fire, more than 120 buildings and homes were also damaged. It's a fine Friday afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 22 and 23 degrees.
Tembisa expect about a 20-minute delay approaching the intersection of Olifantsfontein and Pretoria Road, while in Kempton Park heading towards OR Tambo International Airport. There's an accident scene on the R24 eastbound near the R21 merge, causing heavy delays, and in Bursley, still in Kempton Park, slow-moving traffic on Modderfontein Road between Pretoria Road and De Vickers.
The top story in EWN. The Development Bank of Southern Africa says the 4.6 billion rand reconstruction of Parliament is on track for completion in 2027.
We live in a world where women can take up space, where women are free to dream about becoming. And it all started with generations of women who would not cease until women were liberated and seen as equals. This Women's Month, we remember the women of 1956 who marched to the Union buildings. These are the Mbokodos who walked so that today's woman could run, jump, or soar into her greatness.
Your voice is important.
This Women's Month, 702 remembers these women for their fighting spirit, their tenacity, their unwavering voice. Thank you for walking the talk.
The conversation doesn't stop when you get behind the wheel. With the Prime Media Plus app, you can now listen to 702 through Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, seamlessly integrated into your vehicle. No dropouts, no detours. Stay connected to the latest news, insightful conversations, and the voices you trust, all in crystal clear digital sound. Download the Prime Media Plus app today and take 702 wherever the road leads you.
So the other day I get this call from an insurance company. They asked if they could quote me. I said, quote me? I can't remember what I said. But if you're still thinking about it, it must have been pretty good. Mom always said I have a way with words. They just put down the phone. I don't get it.
Don't get that insurance. Get Pineapple. It's easy to get and online. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. T's and C's apply.
Mavis, I wonder if I should sell my car. I'm not sure where to go.
Wanna sell your car, but don't know what to do. You don't have to go far, we come to you. If you're rolling on a 1.5 or a Lacquer 2.2, doesn't matter what you drive, we buy cars once you.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John and the team. Hope you guys are good. For me, one thing that I think gets hyped up too much and makes no sense, that's the iPhones. You know, I've owned 2 of them myself. One is actually gathered in dust in one of the drawers in my house. I do not understand the hype around it. And when it was announced that they were now going to get the normal C-type charging port, I was like, you see, really now, what the big deal? Because the people who owned iPhones then, when you would approach them and borrow a charger, they'd make you feel like you just came from some space and you don't understand that they own an iPhone.
Good afternoon, John. Hope you're well. So something that never really hit home for me is the sport of paddle, or padel, as it's known. I'm too much of a tennis traditionalist. And yeah, it just feels like a lazy sport. So yeah, that's one thing that never really hit home for me. Lenin Madrid.
Good afternoon, John, and the 702 team. I think my one would definitely be The Polygamist. Like, I haven't even watched it as yet, and yeah, there's this whole hype about this like TV series. So yeah, that's mine.
Hey, John and team. The thing that I waited for the hype to die down before I got into it was Game of Thrones. Yay! When I finally got into it, and now I can see why there was hype. Yeah, but it was so nice to be able to just watch it and, at my own pace and things. I still haven't finished it because, data issues. But yeah, it was Game of Thrones for me.
Have never played paddle, but it doesn't look lazy to me. It looks pretty busy, hey?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah,
it's a mixture of squash and tennis.
Yeah. Haven't never played. Not on my list of to do at the moment. iPhones, I own one. I didn't get it because it was particularly hyped, but I've been pretty happy with the phone. Although I'm probably what do they call them? Different versions. I'm probably about 7 versions back or something like that. Models. Thank you. Yeah, I'm behind on my iPhone model. And then what?
Polygamist. I haven't watched
The Polygamist. I haven't started watching it. We had a wonderful conversation with the author, and then the other one is Game of Thrones. I still haven't watched it. I've
watched a few episodes of the first season, and then I remember my girlfriend, we had like this thing that we're going to watch every episode together, and then she ended up going ahead of me, and then I gave up. I was like, I'm not into it anymore.
Too much catch up to do. Okay. Sounds like homework. 702 Drive. Things that were hyped and you just kind of never got into the hype. Maybe you waited for it to die down, or maybe you just didn't pay it any more attention after the noise receded into the background. Give us your thoughts. Give us your story. 072 702 1702. It's 20 to 4.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele, Banyana, huge game tomorrow. I'll ask you in the next report what you think is going to happen, but tell us who's talking in the camp and what are they saying?
Well, John, they take on Morocco in a WAFCON quarterfinal, which will also secure the victor qualification for next year's FIFA World Cup, while South Africa needed a last group game win over Burkina Faso and help from Cote d'Ivoire to seal their spot in the knockout rounds. Robin Mudali feels there are positives to take from the campaign so far.
I think the positives would definitely be that mentality was there. We showed character and resilience, and having that leading up into the next game, I think it's going to do us wonders. It helps us tremendously. I think it shows the grit, and again, the type of team we are. Banyana, we don't give up. The character to the dying minute. So taking that in, I think a lot of opponents should be scared of that.
Chicago Fire have confirmed that defender Mbegezeli Mbogazi will be out of action for the rest of the year, having sustained a thigh tear following his return from the World Cup with Bafana Bafana. The MLS side had initially ruled him out until mid-September, but that problem is much worse than they first feared. He now undergoes surgery for the issue. As for his former club Orlando Pirates, they'll take on Durban City in the quarterfinals of the MTN 8 tomorrow afternoon. Captain Nkosinathi Sibisi has spoken ahead of it on dealing with criticism as the Buccaneers target winning the trophy for a fifth year in a row.
Sometimes the criticism is fair, and if it's fair, I try to take it as best as possible and try and improve. But as you've said, sometimes it's not fair. There's nothing you can do about it. For you, it's just to keep on trusting and keep on doing what you've been doing, because I don't think it's by chance that I'm here. Been working hard, I've won titles with the club. It's been a great 4 years for me. I'm into my 5th season now. I try and grow a thick skin. As long as it doesn't affect my family, I'll try and deal with it as best as possible.
And the Stormers are gearing up to take on New Zealand this evening as the All Blacks use the clash as preparation for the series against the Springboks. Dave Rennie has discussed the challenge that's posed by the local franchises with further games against the Bulls and the Sharks lined up.
Look, we've had a massive amount of focus on us, on building our game. We've got lots of new guys have come in. We've had a decent look at all three sides, and because of a short turnaround in games, we've looked for common ground, so areas that we expect the Stormers, the Sharks and the Bulls to try and stress us or opportunities that'll be there, and then little tweaks based on who we're playing, because there's just not the same amount of time to review and preview.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
17 minutes to 4. Just remember that it's Friday. Do I need to remind you of that? And of course, the traffic builds up a little bit earlier. That's certainly what's happening out in Ekurhuleni, Tembisa in particular. Karabo Charlie has the very latest details.
Yes, John, thanks. Unusual delays at this time of the afternoon in the Tembisa area heading towards the R21. Expect about a 20-minute delay. This is approaching the intersection of Olifantsfontein Road and Pretoria Road. Not clear what's happening there. So if you're in and around that township of Tembisa, please let us know what's going on. You can WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. Still in Ekurhuleni, Kempton Park accident scene on the R24 eastbound near the R21, causing heavy delays leaving Edenvale heading towards OR Tambo International Airport. Bursley, also slow-moving traffic on Modderfontein Road between Pretoria Road and De Vickers. Midrand heading towards Sandton. Expect about a 20-minute delay. This is on the N1 southbound from New Road to the Batlu interchange, while in mainland Pretoria, bumper-to-bumper traffic heading towards Linwood on the R21. This is on the N1 northbound from the R21 Flying Saucer interchange all the way to the Proof Plus interchange. And in Irene, traffic sluggish approaching the intersection of Namapius Drive and Main Road. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. It's good to have you with us on the show. Still to come a little bit later. We're going to be looking ahead to that Banyana match. We're going to be talking to Conrad Koch, who is the creator of the comic character Chester Missing. He's my guest on a song, a book, and a dish. All of that taking place after 5 o'clock. And we're going to explore a very interesting issue indeed. There is an argument that was presented in a very interesting article I read, suggesting that we may be sending children to school too early, and that there are certain things that kids need before they actually enter grade 1. I'm massively simplifying the debate and the issues, but we'll explore it at 4:20. Munya Bunzai is the founder of something called Hamba Bamba Funda, and it's a non-profit organization that focuses on early childhood development. We'll talk about that, as I said, later in the show. That's at 4:20.
John is on X
at John Perlman.
Tolakele stuff that gets hyped up, and you maybe say to yourself, what's all the fuss about? Then you get it and you give up any resistance you might have had and you adopt it, or you let it pass and somehow That air fryer, for example, never makes its way into your home.
John, that's my favorite appliance. Not too much on the air fryer. Hey? Love it too much. My one thing is when it comes to like TV series or movies, I don't really get caught up a lot in the hype. There was the lady who had said Game of Thrones. Still haven't watched it. My best friend used to post every Sunday that, it was Game of Thrones Sunday, and like that winter reference, something about winter is coming or something like that. Like, and then he'd be like, do you get it? I'm like, no.
Winter's near.
Is winter a character?
Oh, no. Winter is when the ghosts and somethings and what.
Oh, right. Oh, yes. I knew that.
At least you know what I mean.
I have no idea.
The only time,
Out of the
though,
loop.
I do get involved in the hype is if there's a South African production on Netflix. Shem. One thing about South African productions, they really do know how to trend on that show, whether it's The Polygamist, The Ultimatum. When we decide that we're going to put something on an international stage, we do the most.
Okay, so based on that, when there's a new one coming, on the basis of previous excellence and enjoyment, okay, I'm up for this.
Yeah,
So the hype isn't necessary, really, for you.
It's not even, like literally, John, once they say on this day, John Perlman's behind the scenes is going to be on Netflix, I just know it's going to be hot. Hot.
Okay, right. Can't promise anything in that regard, but I'll be sure to let you know. And I expect you all to get as excited about something. I have no idea what it is, as I will be when I find out exactly what it actually is. Richard says, influencers just don't get it in terms of things that attract a fair amount of attention and hype. Richard, influencers, ! Just don't get it. No ! But I think his point is made. Maybe you've got a view on that as well. Coming up now for 12 minutes to 4. Thank you for joining us on 702 Drive. Randall's One Song coming up in about an hour's time. And shortly after 4, we'll take a closer look at some of the dates that have now been set down in ink as opposed to pencil in regard to the local government election. That interview at about 10 past 4.
Drive Home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, qualifying to become a doctor is a huge investment of time, sacrifice, not just these contributions from the person who's actually studying, but from family members, people who teach them, classmates, and so on. To that, you can add, for every doctor who actually becomes a specialist, there's more time, more investment, and an even more dogged pursuit of excellence, you might argue. So there's been a lot of reason for celebration this week because over the past couple of days, more than 100 specialist doctors have taken part in admission ceremonies at the Colleges of Medicine of South Africa. All of them have qualified and been accepted and been honored, I think it's fair to say, as specialists. Very special day for those people, but a very important day, arguably, for South Africans, which is probably most of us, who are actually concerned about the state of our healthcare, whether it's private or public. In the former, concerns about costs, I think, are front and center in the public sector. It's often about shortages. So we never have probably enough specialists, but we do have more than 100 who have now been honored and accepted by the CMSA. Let's talk then to the CEO of the Colleges of Medicine of South Africa, Professor Eric Buch. Welcome and thanks very much for joining us. I don't have the exact number, but around 100. Is that a normal year, a particularly good year for new specialists being accepted and honored, or what do we make of the number? Good afternoon to you.
Yes, good afternoon, John, and thanks so much. Yes, this is a cause for huge celebration. It actually takes 15 years to become a medical specialist.
Goodness.
And 17 to become what's called a subspecialist. You're really a super specialist. So our Johannesburg admission ceremonies were this week, as you said, but we host them around the country. We have in 6 cities, and there have been 724 new specialists admitted around the country this year, and 294 of those were last night. And of course another 32 subspecialists of the 135 around the country. So So you're right. This is a major cause for excitement. You can imagine what it means.
Yeah, and huge pride. Let's extend ourselves beyond the people who have grafted and ground it out and presumably had a hugely stimulating journey along the way. Let's not forget that. But in terms of how we view them as a national asset, because certainly in the years of university training, the country's actually investing in these people. What does this mean for our hospitals and medical services generally, public and private?
Yes, well, the Minister of Health gave the oration last night, and he hit the nail on the head. He said this is a massive investment in offering, specialized care to all South Africans. And, they're going to work in the public sector, in the private sector. And as you said in your introduction earlier, we have to work hard to create the environments for specialists so they want to stay in the country because there's a global shortage. And our specialists are exceptional and under huge demand around the world. Imagine any country can get someone who spent, besides their schooling, 15 years becoming a specialist, and they can just get them on the plane and land and get all that expertise.
So we'll talk about the issues of retention in a moment. I just want to ask you this. As you review the 794, and please forgive me being out by a factor of whatever it is, 8 times wrong, but I'm delighted that the number is so much larger. When you look at it, are there areas where we have abundance and areas where we have scarcity?
Yeah. So John, I think the reality is that for our country's needs, we probably only have about 10% to about 40% of the specialists we need for the country in all the different specialties. So there's nowhere where there's abundance. And that's why one of the things we're driving in the college now is diploma programs, diplomas in child health, in obstetrics, in emergency care, and so on, because we think that your doctor who's had 6 years of medical school can gain a huge amount of extra skills that can make a massive difference, especially in district hospitals in rural and poor areas, to really lift the standards. So we around the country this year we've had 1,628 diplomats admitted as well to the college, and I think that's an important boost for the health system.
Retention. You say that we could, I think implicitly you're saying we must do as much as we can, and possibly we should be doing more to make sure that these people who, when they set out on this journey, probably want to work here, but may find that circumstances don't suit them. What could we be doing more of or better?
Yeah. So John, the college is often known as an examining body. We're the national examining body. You can't become a specialist unless you pass our exams. But the college is much more than that. And we're committed to the goal of equitable access to specialist care for all. And one of the things we've been doing is hosting provincial roundtables. And we had one in Gauteng on Wednesday, where we try to bring together all the stakeholders. We had national government, provincial government, the private sector, the Health Professions Council, universities, ourselves, all exploring the question of how we can answer the question of what you're saying. And I think the answer is that you have to address the whole pipeline. We have to create more posts for registrar training. We have to create environments in hospitals where doctors can learn and practice properly, so that you have enough surgical theatre time, enough ICU nurses. Enough high care beds so that people can practice, enough of the modern equipment. The modern world is now around robotic surgery and minimally invasive surgery with laparoscopes. So we have to build that up. We have to collaborate and partner with the private sector, where, often they're the ones who have a lot of the very kind of expensive equipment that might not be available in a public hospital. So we're looking at trying to build a whole ecosystem around the idea of training more and even better specialists as we go forward.
Right.
The quality of our specialists is going up, John, and then creating opportunities for them. We're working on a program to encourage specialists who in private practice, many of whom have become almost specialize in particular areas, to contribute back into public hospitals and into universities to help train the next generation. We've got a young specialist forum creating the pipeline into the future. So it's really, there's not one kind of specific thing. It's the whole ecosystem that we have to bring behind it.
Just a final question, and briefly, if you can, Prof. I mean, when people go abroad, some people say we tend to be a little bit too negative about that because, for example, let's say they go and work in a particularly distinguished hospital in Boston or in Stockholm or wherever it might be. And then if they come back enriched, but with a richness that they can share with other people. Do we have any data that tells us how many people actually do come back as specialists go abroad? I mean, I would have thought that's a crucial stat, and maybe we need to take a slightly more nuanced view about people who leave.
I think, John, the incentives, people are headhunting in the country, and very few do come back. So yes, some people go abroad for a shorter period, 6 months, a year, 2-year fellowship, and then come back. But that's a smaller, that's a much smaller proportion. I think every time a specialist emigrates, it's a great loss of a national asset and a huge investment.
Thank you so much, Professor Eric Buch, CEO of the Colleges of Medicine of South Africa. 794 new specialists. As I say, I had the number hopelessly wrong. I thought 100 was exciting, but clearly it's way better than that. Anyone who may be listening who in recent years, or maybe even this week, either graduated, is that the correct word, or was admitted to the colleges of medicine as a specialist, if that was your experience, perhaps someone close to you, a family member. I mean, seems to me to be an extraordinary achievement. It's something that we should be delighted about more broadly than just the people directly involved. But if you were directly involved and you've got a comment of any kind on being a specialist, your aspirations to achieve that, and how you chose your specialization, so many threads that I find really interesting. If you can feed my hunger for more knowledge, please do. 072 702 1702, or even better, a call 011 883 0702.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
This week, some members of the Standing Committee on Finance took a dim view of the Finance Minister, Ino Godongwana, asking to delay the appearance of the PIC's new board, saying they needed more time to get acquainted with the job. Scopa chairperson Sogezo Zibi says he's not in favor of an ad hoc committee to probe the problems because of the time it could take to set up. MPs who have not dealt with PIC matters before may also need more time to acquaint themselves with the issues.
I agree that an inquiry into the affairs of the PIC is necessary, but the form that takes becomes a joint inquiry between the Portfolio Committee, Standing Committee on Finance, as well as the Standing Committee on Public Accounts.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis presents the School of AI, the first of its kind in Africa, powered by 100 world-class AI experts delivering cutting-edge training, consulting and real-world AI solutions. Regenesis has embedded compulsory AI modules across all their programs and 12 of their schools, from business and law to education and technology. Join the movement now. Enroll at regenesis.net. Regenesis, one institution leading the way.
Peregrine Capital presents Brian Habana's Count to 100.
In my journey to 100, it started with my first cap, then my second, 10th, 50th, 90th, 99th.
Brian Habana, his 100th international test.
You get to 100 one decision at a time. For 28 years, Peregrine Capital has applied that same discipline to turn 1 million rand into 100 million. Peregrine Capital. Invest in performance. An authorized FSP. Past performance non-indicative of future performance. T's and C's apply.
This is EWN.
Nat joins concerned by violence ahead of the local polls, and gun violence claims 2 lives in Athlone. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The Electoral Commission has officially opened the candidate nomination process for political parties and independent candidates contesting the upcoming local government elections. This means those hoping to secure seats in municipal councils must now submit their nomination documents to be considered. The nomination period is often a tense time as competition for candidacy has in some instances sparked political violence. IEC Chairperson Mosotho Moepwa says the nomination process will close on the 28th of this month.
Prospective contestants can make nominations through two channels, which are one, the online candidate nomination system, proverbially known as the OCNS, or by hand at the office of the Commission's local electoral representative, that is the municipal office in which the candidates will be contesting.
ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula has demanded that party veteran Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma clarify allegations she made that he dished out money at the party's 2022 elective conference. The comments stem from Dlamini-Zuma's appearance on a podcast where she alleged money exchanged hands, with Mbalula being singled out as a central figure. Dlamini-Zuma also mentioned International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola in a similar alleged scheme dating back to 2017. With Lamola strongly denying those claims. Her claims have now reignited debate around allegations of vote buying and factional politics within the ANC. Mbalula says he has written to Dlamini-Zuma requesting that she substantiate or clarify her remarks. Speaking on the sidelines of an ANC NEC meeting in Ekurhuleni, Mbalula warned that he reserves the right to pursue legal action if she fails to do so.
I didn't dish any money to anyone, and that is a fact. So I'm telling you the course of action. The course of action, one, is that the matter must be referred to the Integrity Commission. That's where it will be settled in terms of the ANC. Secondly, the recourse on my part is a legal route, which then says, where does this matter come from?
Parliament says it will take at least another year before it can finalise the South African Police Service Amendment Bill. The bill was introduced by Acting Minister Feroz Kachalia, and it will tighten internal discipline in the police and adapt to modern crime-fighting needs. The Police Portfolio Committee discussed the processing of the bill today after holding its first discussion on the landmark legislation this week. Babalondenze reports.
Some of the key reforms in the SAPS bill include constitutional alignment, such as the unconstitutionality of warrantless search and seizures conducted by the police. The bill also introduces minimum force regulations, which restricted the police to using proportional or minimal force during public gatherings and demonstrations. Committee Content Advisor Nicolette van Zyl-Goos told the committee today that the bill is still far from being finalized.
The Honourable Acting Minister was quite correct and on the money, stating that the bill of this nature and magnitude will take about a year to complete.
Acting Minister Feroz Kachalia told the committee earlier this week that the bill was introduced because of Constitutional Court decisions.
The amendments that are being proposed are the result of decisions of the Constitutional Court. I think 3 Constitutional Court decisions.
The committee says it will first seek public comment through a series of roadshows before the bill goes to the National Assembly for debate and a vote. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
Lawyers for the National Council of Provinces continued with their arguments in the Western Cape High Court today related to a defect in a provision of the Expropriation Act. Government has asked the court to reject challenges to the law brought by 4 organisations. Lawyers for the NCOP dealt with a proposed court-ordered remedy today to be added to the Act. Carlo Peterson has more.
The NCOP and the President this week conceded that a section of the Act dealing with compensation disputes contains an error that creates a circular process. Lawyer for the NCOP, Lerato Zikalala, today told the court the remedy which will allow parties to approach the courts to resolve compensation disputes is already in the Act.
That second limb is sourced directly from Section 74A of the Act, where a party can submit the written statement disputing the amount of offer for compensation in terms of Section 90.
Arguments by lawyers for the Speaker of Parliament and Minister of Land Reform are expected to follow later today. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
And in Thailand, the Prime Minister says the murder carried out by a 14-year-old boy was well prepared and could have been worse. The teenager killed both his grandparents at their home with a gun belonging to his grandmother. The shooter then attacked the school where he was a learner, killing 5 teachers and injuring at least 30 other people. It's understood he still had more than 30 rounds of ammunition left when he turned the gun on himself. Gold is trading at $4,355.23 an ounce. The rand is at 16.16 to the dollar, 21.81 to the pound, 18.69 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $83.24 a barrel.
In Tembisa, you can now expect about a 30-minute delay approaching the intersection of Olifantsfontein Road and Pretoria Road, while in Hermanstad, leaving the Pretoria CBD, traffic heavily backed up. This is on Eskiam Patlele between WF Nkomo and the R80. Donkerhoek in Pretoria, traffic remains congested on the N4 eastbound between Solomon Mahlangu and the R515.
In your sport, Banyana ready for battle in their WAFCON quarterfinal against Morocco. Mbegezeli Mbogazi ruled out for the rest of the year. And Dave Rennie looking for answers as the All Blacks go up against the Stormers.
A fine Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 5 degrees, peaking at 22. Pretoria 6 and 22, and Vereeniging 3 and 21 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the Electoral Commission has officially opened the candidate nomination process for political parties as well as independent candidates.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive. It's 8 minutes past 4. Speaking of the time, the clock is now ticking on the local government elections. A whole lot of deadlines now come into play. For example, on the 11th of August, which is pretty soon, that's on Tuesday, the voters' rolls are open for inspections. People who have objections need to get them in within a week. Decisions are then made as to what those objections, how those objections have been arbitrated, and then the certified voters' roll is published. 26th August, Kaching, door closes, we're done. We know who's going to be voting and who is going to do so legitimately. And there are other deadlines as well. Candidate nominations need to come through, deposits need to be paid. There's a whole lot going on, and it all contributes, hopefully, to making November 4th go as well as it possibly can. We'll be talking in a moment to Judge Daya Pillay, who is a commissioner at the Independent Electoral Commission, and just get some clarity on a couple of things. I'm particularly interested in the whole issue of candidate deposits and how they work. And speaking then of other clocks ticking a lot more slowly, there is a view that was expressed recently in an article that appeared on the Daily Maverick site that by simply saying children can enter grade 1 at a certain age is entirely missing the point, that readiness has got nothing to do with age, and that we need to measure children's readiness for school in other ways. It's an interesting argument. It's not a simple one, but we'll talk to the author, Munya Bunzaya, who is the founder of an entity called Hamba Bamba Funda, which is a non-profit aiming at strengthening early childhood development. And we'll throw out some questions for you about your grade 1 memories, if indeed you can remember them. But that later for that question. Some of the things I've been asking you about is whether you were involved with either this round of specialist doctor admissions to the colleges of medicine of South Africa, or whether you're a medical specialist yourself and you wanted to say something about your journey. Pumzile sends us this: I was part of the procession of the CMSA. Congrats to my student, Dr. Odirile Kironji, who was admitted as a fellow of orthodontists with a merit yesterday. To both of you, many, many congratulations. That sounds wonderful. Some of you have sent us voice notes on that, and others are commenting on the question that Karabo Charlie asked a little bit earlier. When something gets hyped and everyone gets excited, are you one of those people who just doesn't get involved, or maybe gets involved later? Or like me, you're just really slow in doing all these important things. Let's hear from you.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Mr. John, good afternoon. For me, the thing that I've generally been very slow with has been the social media apps. So I have a few, but there's a point where I just drew the line and I was like, up to here and no further. And that was at Instagram and TikTok. I was like, no. And easy, I'm done. I was done at that point in time. I can't even keep up with what I have. So, I think that hype just doesn't get me. I don't have FOMO. I just don't get it. Smoking from mid-range.
Good afternoon, John. My heart really goes out to a few of these Sudanese doctors who are graduating as specialists this year. They had to come to South Africa after fleeing the war in Sudan and have actually paid their own way to study at Turkey's and at Wits, and have even done community service, receiving no remuneration whatsoever, as the law was changed several years back that if you are a foreign student, you do not receive compensation for your community service. So many of these guys are literally living hand to mouth, sharing rooms with each other, flats with each other, and struggling along. But finally they have graduated, and a lot of them are going to go and practice in the Middle East, because South Africa just won't offer these guys jobs. And a lot of them are specialists in very niche areas. Anyway, have a great day.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, a very poignant story there that you're telling us. And maybe people have got a view. I mean, in the thick of all the debates we're having around migrants in our country, but surely if these doctors are performing community service and making a contribution, is that law fair? I mean, you could say, well, we're not going to allow you to do community service, but if you're doing it, surely you should be compensated. Give us a thought on that. 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702, 13 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 451442 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Tembisa giving us problems earlier, giving us problems now, I believe. Charlie.
Yeah, and it's not clear what's causing this 30-minute delay in the Tembisa area. This is Tembisa approaching the intersection of Olifantsfontein Road and Pretoria Road. So if you are in and around the area, please, once again, you can WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702, letting us know what's really happening there. In Bursley, still in Ekurhuleni, slow-moving traffic on Modderfontein Road between Pretoria Road and De Vickers, while in Bryanston, traffic heavily backed up on Winnie Mandela Drive between Main Road and Witkoppen. Bryanston, still, there's traffic is gridlocked. This is on Grosvenor Road, Douglasdale, heading into four ways between Bryanston Drive and Leslie, while in Midrand heading towards Centurion, expect about a 20-minute delay. This is on the N1 southbound from New Road to the Batlu interchange. There's also heavy delays in Donkerhoek, Pretoria, on the N4 eastbound between Solomon Mahlangu and the R515. In Hermanstad, traffic heavily backed up. This is on Eskiam Pahlele leaving the Pretoria CBD between WF Nkomo and the R80 Menlyn. Heading towards Linwood, bumper-to-bumper traffic, N1 northbound from the R21 Flying Saucer interchange all the way to the Proof Plus interchange. Irene, traffic also sluggish approaching the intersection of Nelmapiers Drive and Main Road. And finally, on Dersteport, traffic sluggish on Lavender Road between Roslyn Road and Bonaccord Dam. If you come across any other traffic issues, you can also SMS us on 31702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen can't help you make awkward elevator small talk, but they can get the traffic flowing smoothly so you get to the office in time. to take the stairs. The OUTsurance pointsmen are real heroes in green and purple, easing traffic congestion and making our lives easier for almost 21 years. Just another way you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using hashtag pointsmenlove. OUTsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Okay, so now we have a whole set of very specific deadlines leading up to the local government elections in the first week of November. I mentioned that the voters' roll is open for inspection from Tuesday. Objections to that voters' roll need to be in within a week, and so on and so on. Candidate nominations, they opened today, I think it was. 7th of August. 21 days if you're a candidate or you want to nominate a candidate. Those have got to be in by the 28th of August. And on it goes. With each passing month, there's a set of obligations that need to be fulfilled. Let's welcome, to get a better understanding of all of this, Judge Daya Pillay, who's a commissioner at the IEC, the Independent Electoral Commission. Judge Pillay, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. The timetable is very, very clear. What happens, though, if a deadline isn't met? I recognize these are different processes. Presumably a glitch in the candidate deadline timetable shouldn't affect the voters' roll timetable. But if you get an accumulation of missed deadlines, where does that leave us?
Well, we don't have any space to miss any deadline.
Right, okay.
So if any voter or candidate misses their deadline, we don't have any discretion whatsoever to shift those deadlines. And it's a good thing, too, because the success of our work as the Election Commission is that we have very little discretion to do anything that the Act does not prescribe. So if the Act says, and the timetable says, today is the closure of voters voter registration, that is immutable. You can't shift it. So it's fixed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking, for example, though, at the voters' roll. So there's quite a tight little window there, if I can call it that. 24th of August, you give your decisions on objections. Certified roll has to be published on the 26th. What if you get a little slew of court actions where they say, listen, 750 people have been added to this particular ward in Acorn Hook or whatever it might be. I mean, if you find yourselves in court, would you publish the roll on a provisional basis or could that be stalled?
Well, these things happen, and so I suppose we might have to get a court order to shift any deadline because it's not up to us to do it. And remember, this is now legislation. Even if it's in the form of a regulation, the timetable is fixed. And so if we are going to move because one or other party or candidate is causing us to do that, what about all the others? So we would hesitate to do that on our own without a court order. But so far we've not had to do it because, and that's why we've given us a slightly extended period between closure of the inspection and the time that commissioners would have to determine those objections. So it's a little bit longer than the 2 days we had in the past.
Yeah.
So we want to complete that, yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to say this, and I'm not either putting words in your mouth or expecting you to agree with me, but it is my view that some parties and possibly individuals in the build-up to the election will wish to get in advance their get-out-of-jail card for poor performance by casting aspersions on the integrity of the process. I think we've seen signs of that already. So we might see an accentuation of these tendencies. But let me move on to this, if I may, Judge, and ask you to explain the idea of a deposit. Why do we have deposits and how do they work? Because we're talking candidates now, very much in focus, the opportunity to nominate coming in today. But why do we have deposits?
Well, people have to signify their seriousness about about participating in the elections either as candidates or political parties.
Right.
And so the minimum that is required is 1,800 for independents for a ward and for a district. But the maximum is just over 500,000, 693,600 rands for if you're going to contest all the wards. But we've got over 600. In fact, there's 674 registered political parties.
Right.
And that is a phenomenal number. It's unprecedented in South Africa and with this commission. So how do you sift those chances from the ones who are serious?
Yes.
It also poses enormous logistical problems for the voters' roll, for people to make their choices, and it's not an easy number to work with. So, and in the last elections we had less than that, about 550 or so. But the people who actually make the thresholds to end up on the ballot turned out to be about 17 or 19 parties, and not a single independent candidate made the cut. So the numbers look good. It looks great. We have a vibrant, functioning democracy. At the end of the day, it's the voters who are going to see who gets into these wards and metros and local councils.
Thanks so much, Judge Daya Pillay, Commissioner at the IEC. One deadline, by the way, that you may want to just make a note of because it could apply to you. Special vote applications. They open on the 21st of September. They close on the 12th of October. And by the way, any date that is identified as a closing date, it's not midnight. It's always 5 p.m. So bear that in mind as well. If there are any dates that you want to know more about, just drop me a note on 072 702 1702. Let's vote in our numbers.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Story on the Daily Maverick site caught my eye earlier this week. It's an opinion piece written by the person that I'm about to introduce. And it looks at the question of school admissions, and particularly grade 1 admissions, and that's front and center in many people's minds at the moment because applications, as I understand it, are either open or about to open. If you know, just clarify that for me, if you will. In South Africa, if you between the ages of 4 and 5, as I understand it, you can be admitted to grade 1. But the author of the piece that I'm referring to is suggesting that doing this simply based on age is missing some crucial points that have fundamental implications for the opportunities and the potential of young people. And the opening sentence, or right in the earlier part of the article, makes this very, very clear. I'll just read the sentence. It is a reminder, talking about this age specification, of a system that continues to push children into formal schooling before they have the developmental foundations to succeed. And the evidence is clear. Most children are not ready. The person who holds that view and shared it with us is Munya Bunzai. She's the founder of an organization, a non-profit that works in the early childhood development space. It's called Hamba Bamba Funda. And Munya Bunzai, welcome and thanks so much for giving us your time. You're saying most children are not ready. Not ready in what way? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. Thank you very much for the invitation and the space to talk about something that is really close to my heart and so important for the future of our young children. One of the reasons why I'm saying that children are not ready is that 4 and 5-year-olds, they are still, their brains and their bodies are still not emotionally ready for school. And we are working with principals and teachers on the ground, where recently one of the principals from the creche that we're working with said to me that 3 to 6-year-olds are still sucking their thumbs.
Yes.
And I have done some research that up to 90% of 3 and 4-year-olds still relies on sucking for comfort.
Mm-hmm.
And even at age 4, 12% of children still do. Now, some sucking is not a sign of emotional immaturity or misbehavior. It shows children they are dysregulated, so they are sucking their thumbs for comfort. So what we see in creches is the children, the babies, there are creches where they have babies from 0 to 3-year-olds, and these kids, their nappies are being changed, they are being fed, but the stimulation that these kids are getting is not age appropriate. So the kids are just being left. And the emotional regulation at this age is so, so important. If a child is not being looked at, if a child is not being talked to.
So can I jump in and ask you this? I mean, if we're not going to admit children based on age, what are you proposing as an alternative? Because presumably the infrastructure to evaluate the readiness of children on the scale that we would require to do this properly, I would have thought is really beyond our reach.
Yes, look, we have to change our policy system. Currently, there is not provision. The teachers that are in the daycare centers are not equipped to look after the young children. So those creches who have babies, those teachers need to be upskilled. And that is where we have to start. There are so many creches with babies where the children are not being stimulated. And this is the work that we are doing on the ground, and especially in underserved communities where there are children who don't even have the opportunity to go to a daycare center. So those children are even more behind when they eventually go to school. So there's a big problem on the actual ground with the children.
Thanks so much. Munya Bunzai is the founder of Hamba Bahamba Funda, a non-profit organization in the ECD space. Any grade 1 teachers out there, or perhaps teachers working in the early grades? I mean, what are your thoughts? Are we taking children to school when they're simply not ready? I mean, arguably you could say, well, no kids are ever properly ready to go to school, but there would be measurements, I would have thought, at various skill levels, and the article does refer to, for example, there's something called the Thrive by 5 Index. I think the biggest assessment so far of ECD in the country, and found that only 42% of 4-year-olds are actually developmentally on track to get into school and thrive there. Give us your thoughts. I mean, it's difficult because we are so short of capacity and resources in virtually every area of young people's lives. Is this a thing we can fix? Your views, please, on 072 702 1702.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, a very good afternoon to you. What's been happening? Looks like another stellar day to end the week.
Good afternoon, John. Yes, look, Brent crude is slightly lower, but the real story perhaps happening in gold prices. A bit of speculation around whether gold will go back up to $5,000 if the sort of ceasefire holds in the Middle East, or if they reach an agreement, helping to push the JSE All-Share up 1.83%, 117,416 points. Financials are flat, industrials are up 0.75%, resources are up nearly 5.6% on the day. And it really is your Goldfields, your Anglo Gold, your Sibanye, very, very strong movements. Goldfields up 9%, Anglo Gold 2%, Harmony up nearly 8%, Sibanye up nearly 7%. You see it across the board. And African Rainbow Minerals, remember that big investment in platinum last week, they're up 5.77%, while Implats is up 6.5%. So a very strong day coming from resources. Grindrod down 3.42%. HCI giving up all of its gains from yesterday, pretty much. They're down 2.59%, while AECI is down 2.5%, and Canol Plus is down 2.28%, and Glencore giving up the gains it had earlier in the week as well. They're down 2%, while Tungela is down 1.69%. I'm sure that's about energy views, John, with lower oil prices, and Vodacom down 2% on the day as well. The CEO at the Public Investment Corporation, Patrick Lamini, releasing a video today. He says he'll completely cooperate with the new board of the PIC, return to work after a suspension by the previous board was declared unlawful. He says he will allow every process to proceed without distraction. The board has said The claims that were made against him by an anonymous whistleblower will now be investigated independently. And the Spur Group saying its headline earnings for the year to the end of June have been affected by the fact it's had to raise its provision in case it has to pay out another food company because of a legal dispute. It's been going on for a long time. They went to arbitration. The process found Spur does have to make a payment. Spur is appealing that. They say they're very confident. But as a result, it's had to put aside a provision of 75 million rand. And that means its expected headline earnings per share have been pushed down by around 40% for the year to the end of June. In the US, surprise numbers showing that it lost jobs in July. Non-farm payrolls for the 2 months before were revised sharply lower as well. That suggests the Federal Reserve will not increase interest rates, so the unemployment rate falling to 4.1%, more people leaving the labour force. And that does not seem to be having a big impact on markets. They're sort of just positive, really. The Dow Jones is up 0.08%, the Nasdaq is up 0.2%, the S&P 500 is up 0.25%. The gold price right now, $4,332.69. Platinum, $1,744.21. Brent crude, $82.54 a barrel. And the rand to the dollar, 16.18 to the euro, 18.70 to the British pound, 21.83. Stephen Crotus, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. Back with us in about less than an hour's time. Let's get the very latest eyewitness news at 28 minutes to 5. Mbali Dlamini. Good afternoon again.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Some workers at a Chinese-owned factory shop in Durban have opened up about their working conditions, with one employee saying she was routinely asked to clean up after the manager's cats. The clothing shop factory was shut down indefinitely today following a surprise compliance raid led by inspectors at the Department of Labour. The raids were targeted at the industrial area of Hammersdale, west of Durban. Tabiso Koba was there.
Workers who spoke to Eyewitness News say they were exploited at the clothing factory. They worked long hours without overtime, all while earning below the country's mandated minimum wage. Kanye Sillo says she earns 300 rand every Friday for cleaning the entire factory and more.
I have to clean up their dogs and cats' feces. I also have to clean up their homes. They also make me do their garden, and the money that I earn for all of that doesn't make me happy.
The factory has since been shut down for several labor law violations. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Durban.
The Department of Trade is working with National Treasury on new tax incentives to drive industrial growth. The move forms part of government's new strategy, which is aimed at strengthening South Africa's manufacturing base, building local supply chains and reducing the country's reliance on imports. The department says a task team has been set up to look at the policy instruments needed to implement this strategy. Anelita Fandese reports.
The department says tax incentives could be used to lower both the capital and operating costs faced by businesses. The intention is to encourage companies to expand their operations, invest in new technologies, increase innovation and create jobs. But government has not yet set out the final form or value of the proposed incentives. The department says it is currently developing a business case for the tax measures, which will assess both their fiscal implications and their potential economic impact. The business case will then be tabled with National Treasury for further discussion and consideration. The department says the work is ongoing with a target of having some of the measures announced in the medium-term budget policy statement. Anelita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
And in Senegal, 3 social media influencers have been sentenced to jail for comments targeting the president. The 3 men are affiliated with an online media platform which supports ousted Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko. The case stems from a video posted on TikTok in which the men said they had prayed for Senegal's greatest traitor to be struck by paralysis, a stroke, or to die. Although the president was never named, the court interpreted the remarks as targeting him. The influencer's lawyers have indicated they will be appealing that decision, saying it sets a bad precedent. A fine Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 3 and 6 degrees and highs of between 21 and 22.
Leaving Pretoria, heading towards Emalahleni, traffic congested in Donkerhoek. This is on the N4 eastbound between Solomon Mahlangu and the R515. Hermanstad, leaving the Pretoria CBD, traffic also heavily backed up on Eskia Mphahlele between WF Nkomo and the R80, and in Menlyn, bumper-to-bumper traffic heading towards Linwood, N1 northbound from the R21 Flying Saucer interchange to the Proof Plus interchange.
The top story in EWN. Some workers at a Chinese-owned factory shop in Durban have opened up about their working conditions, with one employee saying she was routinely asked to clean up after the manager's cats and dogs.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
In terms of music, as you evolve from a young girl to like, actually, I'm a woman, that evolution requires a certain ownership of who you are. How have you dealt with that? And I'm asking this specifically as a woman because, well, it's Women's Month.
So I think that I had a lot of confidence as a kid, and my confidence was nurtured. That's for sure. So I'm very lucky in that regard. And everything that I did, everything that I watched, everything that I became obsessed with was performance, was music, was acting, was film. So it really is, it was what I've been wanting to do my whole life.
Vocalist and artist Jamie Lee Sexton.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Remember the first time your soul felt alive, or the last time music moved you so deeply you didn't want it to end? That feeling is calling you back. You are officially invited to come experience soulful performances from global icons. Kamasi Washington, Temba and Africa Mkhize, Nubia Garcia, Ibrahim Malouf, Judah Sapuma, Angelique Kidjo, Ndabo Zulu, Melanie Scholz, Floetry, Tandiswa Mazwai, and 40 world-class acts. 4 incredible stages of the Sandton Convention Centre, one unforgettable experience at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz, 25th to 26th September. This is Jazz Reignited. Get your weekend pass now via Ticketmaster.
We're talking strategy on the field live because you get real-time stock management with FNB SpeedPoint, right?
Oh, yes. For business owners that want to know what their stock, sales and staff are doing, Get Paid Plus lets you track it all.
See what's coming in, going out, what's selling, and who's selling it.
Get in the payments game with a bank that gives you full control with Get Paid Plus on FNB SpeedPoint. FNB, help changes everything. First National Bank, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Just Andalex it.
Do you have a sore throat? Andalex C Oral Rinse and Spray provides targeted relief from 1 minute that lasts up to 4 hours. It reduces pain and inflammation while numbing the affected areas. It also kills viruses and bacteria that cause sore throats to help prevent serious throat infections. Andalex, South Africa's #1 choice for sore mouth and throats. For more information, speak to your healthcare professional.
Just Andalex it.
Andalex, a proud sponsor of The Masked Singer Season 3. 702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, Dr. John. Asanda Mukwele here. I want to congratulate Dr. Lerato Mushawa on her specialty graduation or achievement. She's in the dentistry fraternity. I think we now call her an orthodontist. Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks so much for that. If you're wondering what that's all about, we had an interview a little bit earlier with Professor Eric Buch, who's CEO of the South African Colleges of Medicine. 794 specialists around the country have in recent days been admitted to the colleges as specialists. And he was saying that this is a 15-year journey. It's a fabulous achievement. And I was just asking if there's anyone who is amongst that number of 794 or has been involved in the journey, this long journey that people have undertaken. It's a fabulous, fabulous achievement individually. Hopefully it's a massive asset to our society. But do listen to our conversation with Prof. Buch, because he has some sobering things to say about the importance of us creating an environment where the specialists in whom so much has been invested, yes, by themselves, but also by the collective expertise and resources of the country, let's make sure that as many of them as possible stay here. There's huge demand for South African trained specialists, as I understand it. Listen to that interview on primemediaplus.com. There's some good stuff there, including that interview, but plenty more besides. 20 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele still rumbles around Gianni Infantino. I thought there was a whole lot of love for him earlier this week, but not entirely so.
Absolutely, John. That's because football federations are not singing from the same hymn book when it comes to Infantino's future as FIFA president. Norway have called on him to resign following his aborted attempt to sell off stakes in the World Cup to private investors as they join England, Wales, Croatia and Albania in withdrawing their support. For Mexico and Argentina, they've gone in the opposite direction in voicing their support for Infantino, who's also been unanimously backed by CAF. At the same time, WAFCON has now reached the quarterfinal stage, and one of the 4 games to look forward to sees host Morocco up against South Africa. The winner of the tie will book one of the 4 slots reserved for an African team at the 2027 FIFA World Cup, while also remaining on course to win the title. Fikile Magama has discussed what is needed to topple an Atlas Lioness side who have yet to concede a goal.
Playing the ball, according to what we know, keeping the ball, all that stuff. I feel like for the past 3 games, we didn't play according to what we know. We were playing because the opponents were taller than us. They didn't allow us to keep the ball a lot. We were playing most of the time long ball. So I think going forward, Morocco is going to give us what we know already. We just have to keep the ball and play what we know.
The MTN 8 quarterfinals are also this weekend, with Kaizer Chiefs competing in the competition for the first time in 2 years. The Glamour Boys take on Lamanville Golden Arrows on Sunday, and Brandon Peterson has provided this analysis of their opponents.
It's never an easy game against Arrows. The past is in the past. Obviously, they've new coaches, new players. It's a new season. It's important for us to focus on us. We know what we're coming up against. We know Golden Arrows is always a tough game. They're very intact. They know what they want to do. For us, we're going to have our work cut out. But I think it's important for us to make sure that we believe in what we can do and go out on Sunday and, just deliver the performance we know we can deliver.
And the Griquas host the Lions in a top-of-the-table clash as round 4 of the Currie Cup gets underway tomorrow afternoon. The Joburg team are currently top of the log on 12 points, with the Griquas just a point behind. While Mzwakhe Nkosi's side are on a high following a 42-19 victory over the Bulls last time out.
It's a top-of-the-table clash, so that's going to add a bit of spice to the contest. Secondly, the results have been to and fro, I think, a little bit in our favour in the last couple of seasons. And then lastly, it's an occasion for them. It's their 140th celebration, so there's plenty of motivation and occasion for us to pitch up and get a good result against them.
Tolakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
All right, coming up now for 17 minutes to 5, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Chali is your man on this Friday with its early rush hour, and he just keeps holding up a piece of paper that says to me Tembisa. We've been worrying about that, for an hour and a half already?
Yeah, and it's still not clear what's going on there. Approaching the intersection of Olifantsfontein Road and Pretoria Road, traffic heavily backed up, leaving the Tembisa area heading towards the R21. Bursley still in Ekurhuleni, slow-moving traffic on Morafontein Road between Pretoria Road and De Vickers, while in Bryanston, traffic heavily backed up on Winnie Mandela Drive between Main Road and Witkoppen. Still in Bryanston, there's also bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on Grosvenor Road, Douglasdale between Bryanston Drive and Leslie Road. There's also about a 20-minute delay leaving Midrand heading towards Pretoria. This is on the N1 southbound from New Road all the way to the Batlu interchange. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic in the Menlyn area on the N1 northbound between the R21 Flying Saucer interchange and the Broekplas interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Clever excuses for being late, number 92. I had to rescue my cousin's neighbor's cat from a tree. Fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsman on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer in the FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
4:45. So we were having an interesting chat earlier about, whether 5 years of age is too early to go to school. I think when I went to school, I started school in 1965, so quite recently. I think we had to be 6, if I recall. I think I had to turn 6 in the year that I went to school. That's my recollection of it anyway. But I'm just wondering, are we ever ready to go to school? I know some very serious points were being made, and this question is not in any way discounting the points that my guest Munya Bunzai was making about the importance of stronger work being done with and for younger children in those early years of life in ECD centers and other places. But were you terrified, Tolakele? Day one, do you even remember?
I was terrified day 1 of grade 2 and day 1 of grade 8, only because grade 1 was just still in the same school that I had done my creche and nursery school. So I'd already known the people, so I was comfortable there. But I changed schools in grade 2 and I didn't know anyone. That's the reason I was terrified. And then grade 8, there was just something so final about going to high school and just knowing that it's 5 years and done. And if you kind of mess up these 5 years, you're just like, what's your future going to be? But grade 2 for me was the scariest thing.
I remember my eldest sister, who was also incidentally at the same school. I remember she held my hand and walked me all the way to the classroom. I think we went to school on the bus. I don't vividly recall the actual journey there. I was especially nervous for Standard 4, grade 6, just because the teacher was notorious as somebody who would, who was quite liberal with his use of his stick and so on. So that was a bit nerve-wracking. But I don't remember grade 1 being especially difficult or traumatic. I think I probably settled in reasonably well. Karabo, Charlie, I mean, two stories, your own and your son's.
Well, for me, I think I started a year earlier because I remember half of my schoolmates were like a year older than me. But then luckily I also had an older sister with me who also held me by the hand and took me to class and introduced me to the teachers. And the teacher was very kind and loving. She was the sweetest. And then my son, he started at 7, which is the usual average time. And the journey has been actually quite smooth. He was not nervous. He was actually excited to go to school and couldn't wait for me to leave him at school at the gate.
Okay, bye, Dad.
When are you leaving, Dad?
Dad, do you need another tissue? Okay, bye. Tell us your story then, your grade 1 story or the grade 1 story, first day of somebody that you're close to, either your own child or somebody you're involved with caring for. I mean, I'd love to know, and there are other serious developmental questions that I'm not trying to settle by getting your experience. I just want your story, please. 12 minutes now to 5.
Randall's One Song on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drive with John Perlman.
Okay, it's time for some music, and boy, do we look forward to this every week. We're going to be listening to an artist who I don't know their music. I do not know much about them at all, which is one of the things I enjoy, apart from learning new things about artists and songs that I know, is to be introduced to somebody new. Randall, a very good afternoon to you. Tell us about Boy Golden.
Good afternoon, John. Boy Golden is from Canada. Started off his career in a rock band, an indie band called the Middle Coast. His real name is Liam Duncan, but he created this persona in order to, give a different focus. And it's very kind of rootsy, a bit of psych, a bit of classic country, and I would say a little bit of outlaw country, like people like Willie Nelson, Townes Van Zandt, Dwight Yoakam. And that's the direction that he's gone in. I actually discovered him because my favorite bass player, Pino Palladino, is playing on the album. So he's certainly been able to assemble a team of very high-class musicians on this, his first album. The single's called Suffer. It's gone to number 1 on the modern rock charts in Australia. It's the lead-off single from the album Best of Our Possible Lives, which is his first. And I'm quite intrigued because, as I say, the songwriting is of a very high caliber. Hasn't broken through to the rest of the world, but I do think there's certainly an opportunity for him to do so.
Okay, well, let's hear Boy Golden, and then we'll talk about this artist some more because, as I say, I'm hearing him for the first time and looking forward to it. It's called Suffer.
Good damn, what a masterpiece. Laid out on the street in front of me. Good damn, another tragedy. Laid out on the street in front of me. Prices go up and they don't come down. Cost $40 just to hang around. I know people sleeping on the ground. Prices go up and they don't come down. I wanna know where my money went. I want a new perfect president. Wanna believe that God is benevolent. I wanna know where my money went. Yeah. We all suffer under the cover of the night. Under the cover of the night. We all suffer. Yeah. Painkillers and nicotine. White bread and trashy TV. You can drink yourself half asleep. Just don't do it in front of me. Bad actors in politics. I can't take too much more of this. I'm looking for a more permanent fix, like a deep dark hole in a ditch. We sit in our living rooms and become what we consume. There's nothing old and nothing new, just whatever's in front of you. Yeah. We all suffer under the cover of the night. Under the cover of the night.
So, Randall, I'm intrigued. It's not that cheerful a song, I have to say. It's a wonderful song, and thanks for that. What's he up to? Because he's quite dry. I mean, I love the line, cost $40 just to hang around. What's your sense of what he's saying?
So what he has said is that he wants to provide comfort and understanding in a world that is hardening.
Okay.
And I think that, this type of music, if we look back and we try and draw some parallels, then maybe Warren Zevon's assault on the yuppie during the 1980s, or Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and Neil Young during the Nixon times are good examples. And what's quite interesting is that people do revert to this kind of what I'd call natural music making. Something that can be easily played on a guitar when times become either politically or economically difficult. I think there are two things that happen in those times. One, there's either amazing dance floor music, so Dua Lipa, and on the other hand, there's kind of this laconic, insightful, for want of a better term, I don't want to call it country because it's more simple, right? It's more like a number of chords, anybody can play them, which means you can get the message across.
Nice voice. I enjoyed the singing.
And as you say, very, very, people think it's easy to, some songs are deceptively simple. If you've ever listened to, say, Townes Van Zandt or Warren Zevon, it's only when they write a really clever song that you think, oh, well, I could never do that.
Yes.
But a lot of these songs are deceptively simple in that you think, geez, come on, I could have come up with that, but in truth, it's slightly more difficult.
It's interesting because, when we're putting the show together and, we're talking about cost of living or whatever, and we say, well, we can't play Money's Too Tight to Mention again because, and we can't play Pink Floyd again. But thank you. This adds to our playlist. Randall, you're talking about the song is starting to spark and get attention. It certainly got yours. Where does an artist like this go? How big does Boy Golden get?
Well, I think Safa will get enough attention, and I think this could be a sleeper hit. I think that you could find it's not the type of song that's gonna, like a pop song by Kylie Minogue in the early 2000s that's just gonna head straight to the top of the charts. But I think there's a path of discovery for an artist like this, and I think it could be the sleeper hit of the year, and it could start, as I say, charting on other charts around the world.
Thanks so much, Randall Abrams with Randall's One Song. And you heard it here first, or maybe you didn't, but I suspect for most of you, you did. The song, if you want to take another listen, just to make sure you've got the title and know where to find it, Suffer by Boy Golden. I enjoyed that a lot, actually, and I'll probably look out for more of his music. I'll certainly be listening out for Randall's One Song, which you'll hear at the same time next Friday.
We live in a world where women can take up space, where women are free to dream about becoming. And it all started with generations of women who would not cease until women were liberated and seen as equals. This Women's Month, we remember the women of 1956 who marched to the Union buildings. These are the Mbokodos who walked so that today's woman could run, jump, or soar into her greatness.
Your voice is important.
This Women's Month, 702 remembers these women for their fighting spirit, their tenacity, their unwavering voice. Thank you for walking the talk.
Cutting costs means more money for your business. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's Marshall from Bow Electrical.
I was with my other insurance for many years and then I switched to Outsurance Business Insurance. It was a one quick call. They gave me a great cover and a great price. Give them a call. You have nothing to lose. I wish I have switched sooner.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60,000. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
We're giving you millions of reasons to celebrate with our selection of Lucky Millions Lotto draws. You could claim major jackpots when you pick numbers from thousands of daily draws. Choose numbers on UK 49s, Euro Millions, and lots more from just R5 per line. Enjoy more chances and more ways to win, all in one place. Grab your chance to celebrate extraordinary riches when you play Lucky Millions from Hollywood Bets. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
This week, some members of the Standing Committee on Finance took a dim view of the Finance Minister, Ino Godongwana, asking to delay the appearance of the PIC's new board, saying they needed more time to get acquainted with the job. Scopa chairperson Sogezo Zibi says he's not in favour of an ad hoc committee to probe the problems because of the time it could take to set up. MPs who have not dealt with PIC matters before may also need more time to acquaint themselves with the issues.
I agree that an inquiry into the affairs of the PIC is necessary, but the form that takes becomes a joint inquiry between the Portfolio Committee, Standing Committee on Finance, as well as the Standing Committee on Public Accounts.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive, still to come on the show after 5. We're going to be talking to one of the first coaches of Banyana, Fran Hilton-Smith. Really looking forward to getting her insights as to, first of all, what you do in preparation for a huge game. Kickoff time, by the way, is going to be at 10 p.m. South African time. That's South Africa versus Morocco, WAFCON quarterfinal. But also, how do you prepare? But also, what do you do with a team that's doing enough to get where they've got to, but isn't playing particularly well. A veteran coach with some really interesting insights. She's my guest at 5:10. And then, talking of people who've got to get other people to excel, Peter Duncan is head chef at La Petite Colombe, but particularly he's a key figure in this weekend's episode of MasterChef South Africa. Just 3 people left battling for a place in the finals. All of that, plus Conrad Koch, creator of Chester Missing, who is my guest for a song, book and a dish. We've got all of that in the next hour of 702 Drive, starting off with the news at 5.
This is EWN.
More than 300 political parties to choose from ahead of elections, and Mbalula demands answers from Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. More than 300 political parties have been registered to contest the upcoming local government elections. The campaign season is now in full swing following the proclamation of 4 November as the official election date. Eligible South Africans now have until midnight to register to vote or to update their details online. Alfara Mushwana reports.
In total, the IEC has about 674 political parties registered on its system, but not all will contest the upcoming local government elections. Of the 312 eligible to contest the municipal polls, 55 will participate in metropolitan municipalities, while the remaining 257 will contest district municipalities. IEC chairperson Mosotho Moepya says the number of participating parties shows that these elections are highly contested.
The high number of district-level parties highlight the expected political contestation in local government elections at community level.
With the election date now proclaimed, eligible citizens will not be able to register after midnight. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula has demanded that party veteran Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma clarify allegations she made that he dished out money at the party's 2022 elective conference. The comments stem from Dlamini Zuma's appearance on a podcast where she alleged money changed hands, with Mbalula being singled out as a central figure. Dlamini Zuma also mentioned International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola in a similar alleged scheme dating back to 2017, with Lamola strongly denying those claims. Her claims have reignited debate around allegations of vote buying and factional politics within the ANC. Mbalula says he has written to Dlamini Zuma requesting that she substantiate or clarify her remarks. He was speaking on the sidelines of an ANC-NEC meeting in Ekurhuleni.
I didn't dish any money to anyone, and that is a fact. So I'm telling you the course of action. The course of action, one, is that the matter must be referred to the Integrity Commission. That's where it will be settled in terms of the ANC. Secondly, the recourse on my part is a legal route, which then says, where does this matter come from?
Parliament says it will take at least another year before it can finalise the South African Police Service Amendment Bill. The bill was introduced by Acting Minister Feroz Kachalia, and it will tighten internal discipline in the police and adapt to modern crime-fighting needs. The Police Portfolio Committee discussed the processing of the bill today after holding its first discussion on the landmark legislation this week. Babalondenze reports.
Some of the key reforms in the SAPS bill include constitutional alignment, such as the unconstitutionality of warrantless search and seizures conducted by the police. The bill also introduces minimum force regulations, which restricted the police to using proportional or minimal force during public gatherings and demonstrations. Committee Content Advisor Nicolette van Zyl-Goos told the committee today that the bill is still far from being finalized.
The Honourable Acting Minister was quite correct and on the money, stating that the bill of this nature and magnitude will take about a year to complete.
Acting Minister Feroz Kachalia told the committee earlier this week that the bill was introduced because of Constitutional Court decisions.
The amendments that are being proposed are the result of decisions of the Constitutional Court. I think 3 Constitutional Court decisions.
The committee says it will first seek public comment through a series of roadshows before the bill goes to the National Assembly for debate and a vote. Baba Londanza, Eyewitness News.
A mass repatriation site in Musina, Limpopo is being demobilized following the relocation of more than 77,000 undocumented migrants. Police and border management officials confirmed in a briefing today that a further 18,000 people were deported between April and July. Meanwhile, deportation operations are still underway at the Lindela Repatriation Center in Krugersdorp, while the Musina Center winds down. The police's Dibelo Musikidi.
Just over 500 individuals remain at the center and will be repatriated to their respective countries in the coming days. This marks a significant milestone in our coordinated operations, which has been carried out in an orderly, humane, and lawful manner.
And Spain has warned Italy that it will take the proportional measures if Rome does not end border controls on travellers from Spain by August the 9th. The respite between the EU and NATO allies comes after tens of thousands of migrants crossed from Morocco to the Spanish North African territory last week. Italy reintroduced border controls with Spain at the beginning of this month, temporarily suspending an agreement allowing passport-free travel across 29 European countries. The Spanish government has warned against creating rifts and conflicts driven by internal electoral motives. Gold is trading at $4,355.23 an ounce. The rand is at 16.13 to the dollar, 21.82 to the pound, 18.67 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $83.21 a barrel.
Accident scene in Bryanston on Winnie Mandela Drive near the N1, causing more than an hour delay between Main Road and Witkoppen. Still in Bryanston, traffic gridlocked on Grosvenor Douglas Drive. This is between Bryanston Drive and Leslie, Bursley, Kempton Park. Slow-moving traffic on Modderfontein Road between Pretoria Road and De Vickers.
In your sport, battle-tested Banyana looking to overcome Morocco at WAFCON. Mamelodi Sundowns target domestic dominance after conquering Africa. And Nono to make his Sharks debut against the All Blacks.
A fine Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 5 degrees, peaking at 22. Pretoria 6 and 22, and Vereeniging 3 and 21 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. More than 300 political parties have been registered to contest the upcoming local government elections.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, welcome to the show. If you've just joined us, it's been great having you with us. If you've been along for the ride for a little bit longer, it's currently 8 minutes past 5. Coming up on the show, we've got some interesting stuff. First of all, we're going to look ahead to that huge game for Banyana up against Morocco. The home team tomorrow night, 10 o'clock is the kickoff time at stake. Not just a place in the semi-finals, but reach the semi-finals and you qualify for the next Women's World Cup. So there's a lot going on. Banyana returned to play an opponent who they beat in the 2022 final. So history and memory will be on their side. Poor recent form, I think it's fair to say, a little bit stop-start, very inconsistent, not so good. But how do you, first of all, harness the past, but crucially, get out of a rut of not very good form? And we'll put that question to Fran Hilton-Smith, who for many years was at the head of women's football in South Africa. Fran Hilton-Smith joining me shortly on that. Competition of a different kind over the weekend. MasterChef South Africa. The top three are battling for a place in the finals. They have been set a task by Peter Duncan, who's head chef, one of South Africa's most prominent and acclaimed chefs, and he is head chef at the Franschhoek restaurant La Petite Colombe. What I'm really interested in talking to Peter Duncan about is, firstly, he's got them making fish head soup. What's the story behind that? But secondly, when you've reached the kind of peak that he has, how do you go about encouraging, inspiring younger people perhaps, but certainly people very much at a different point on the very steep ladder you've got to climb to do as well in the chef and culinary space as he has done. So Peter Duncan is with me at about 20 past 5. And then as we always do on a Friday, a song, a book, and a dish. We'll be talking to Conrad Koch, the creator of the comedic character, and I don't know if that's the right thing to call it, the puppet, Chester Missing. We'll be interviewing Conrad, not Chester. Looking forward to that. That's at 20 to 6.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Bro John, this was I think it was in 1988 when I started my school. I was, I think, sub A. I was 3 years of age. And the reason why I started so early is because at the time the department was going through shortages in terms of the number of learners that were enrolling at the time. Back then, the multiracial schools were popular. So most kids would then be enrolled at schools in town. So the teachers did a door-to-door to look for kids. As young as I was, 3 years of age, I was then enrolled to do sub A, John. And yeah, fast forward years later, at the age of 15, I then matriculated. Thank you, John. Mama Bolo here in Remsech.
Afternoon, John. Here my grade 1 story, which was still called Sub A. I just remembered me not coming back on after lunch break because we used to stay very close to my home. So when it was break time, lunch break, I just went straight home. I didn't know that I needed to return back to school. And guess what? The following day, I was on the list of, people who left school early, and it was a deviation. And I just remember I couldn't understand why I was 10. I had to be on this list for people who bunked school. And the age also, I was quite young. I was 5 years old when I started school. So it does give a bit of confusion if you are more younger. Yet when I look at my daughters started 7, they understood. They actually told me to go on the first day. Yeah, quite an experience. Okay.
Yeah, thanks. And Muhlomi has this memory, not directly his, but let me share it. First day at school reflections just reminded me of something. My former girlfriend's nephew was not really excited about their first day at school, but his mood had changed for the better when he came home. The mother said, "You see, I told you. It was not that bad. You will even make more friends." The young rascal responded in horror, and this is in quotes from Muhlomi. He says, "So I still have to go again tomorrow?" Yep, you do. And the next day, and the day after that, and for many, many, many years to come. I guess that reality sunk in fairly fast. 13 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo, know we've got problems out in Tembisa, but Bryanston's getting tricky as well.
Yeah, that's leaving Bryanston heading into Four Ways. There's an accident scene on Winnie Mandela Drive near the N1, causing about a 30-minute delay. This is between Main Road and Witkoppen. Still in Bryanston, traffic gridlocked on Grosvenor Road, Douglas Drive between Bryanston Drive and Leslie. Kempton Park, there's traffic pressure on Zierfontein Road between Orange Rivier and Allendale. Still in Kempton Park, this time Bursley area. Slow-moving traffic on Morafontein Road between Pretoria Road and De Vickers. Midrand, there's about a 20-minute delay heading towards Sandton. N1 southbound from New Road to the Patlu interchange. Tshwane, Donkerhoek. There's traffic pressure on the N4 eastbound between Solomon Mahlangu and the R515. Hermanstad leaving the Pretoria CBD. Traffic heavily backed up on Eskiam Patlele between WF Nkomo and the R18 Menlyn heading towards Linwood. We still have slow-moving traffic. N1 northbound from the R21 Flying Saucer interchange to the Proof Plus interchange. In Irene, traffic sluggish approaching the intersection of Nelmapius Drive and Main Road. Finally, on Dersteport, traffic sluggish on Lavender Road between Roslyn Road and Bonaccord Dam. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Deciding to skip the gym may cost you that smoothie reward, but deciding to stay with your current car insurance could be costing you thousands of rands in savings every year. With Outsurance, 48-year-old Sylvia saves an incredible 802 Rand a month on her 2019 BMW X1. Switch to Outsurance. Do it today. You too could be one quote away from having more money in your pocket every month. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So it's been pretty tough, I think it's fair to say, for Banyana in the 2026 WAFCON. Of course, the team that won the title in 2022 now finds themselves up against the team they beat in the final 4 years ago. They're not coming into this game with particularly good form, but knockout football is exactly that. You've just got to do better than your opponents on the day. You don't have to look better or play prettier football or get the warmest applause from the crowd. No chance of that with Morocco having a home game. But what do you need to do to get over this particular hurdle? Fran Hilton-Smith is a former Banyana coach, vast experience in football, and I'm sure she's been casting a very careful eye over the way the team's played over the past 3 games. Fran, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time. I want to get a sense from you as a person who's had a rich and storied coaching career. When a team is not playing particularly well, but playing well enough to get to where Banyana has, what does the coach have to do? Do they just say, keep doing what you're doing? Or do they say, okay, we're at a new level, we've got to change some things?
Well, hello, John, and thanks to your 702 listeners. I think that as the coach, you prepare for each game. Obviously, we would have studied the footage of Morocco, how they're playing. And I think we have to change our game plan, obviously, to accommodate this team, very fast, nippy. And, of course, this is a do-or-die match. There's no second chance. The winner goes through to the World Cup, goes to the last 4. So this is where the players need to step up more than ever before and play for their country, the World Cup, and many of them have been to the World Cup, and they surely want to go back, be seen to maybe be scouted overseas.
Tell me what you've made of the 3 games so far. Disappointment against Tanzania, some real heroics, pulling it back to 2-2 against Cote d'Ivoire, trailing 2-0 up until the 71st minute, and you then doing enough against Burkina Faso. What's going right, but crucially, what's not working?
Well, I think 3 very varied games. The game against Tanzania, of course, a huge disappointment. And then we improved in the next one, and the final game we had, the girls were all out to score that vital goal because we had to win that game or we were out. So I think we saw a lot of substitutions. The players coming off from the bench are not really substitutes. They come on and add value in a large extent. So I think we have to continue in that vein because Morocco also are desperate to go through. This is really, as you said, like the final 4 years ago. So we have to ensure that our players who've played them before, been there, been to the World Cup, the Yildiz, the Tembi who's back, wasn't there last time, Linda, Gabby, all of them are at their best, and we go out to win because this is a must-win.
And Fran, I mean, obviously Desiree Ellis will do things the way she does, but I mean, in general, when you've got I don't know if time drags before a huge match like this or whether it actually flies, but either way, you kind of leave players alone with their own thoughts to do their own preparation. There'll be team meetings and such, but how do you get players, particularly younger ones, through this kind of 24-hour wait? Because I can't imagine anyone sleeps that well.
No, it's very difficult times, but I'm sure that the more experienced players in the team will be motivating the younger ones who haven't been to WAFCON as to, what's at stake. And they felt what it's like to win that trophy and to lose it. So they are the ones that we're banking on to drive the team. They also are very fortunate, which is not common in our national teams, is to have a sports therapist there to work on their mental concentration, etc., etc. That's very important, their mindset, that they are geared for this game and in the right frame of mind, because, the game's won in your head, not with your feet.
Sure. It's a big one. Thank you so much, Fran Hilton-Smith. Really interesting insights, having been there as Banyana coach. And yeah, plenty at stake. There's a place in the semis, but I think as important is the fact that the top 4 teams at Women's AFCON in Morocco this year automatically go to the next Women's World Cup. So Banyana, get behind them. They play tomorrow night at 10. It's 5:20.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Well, a competition of a different kind. MasterChef South Africa. It's season 6. It's episode 25. We are down to just 3 contestants. And in this week's episode, they've been interacting with one of South Africa's most acclaimed chefs. He is Peter Duncan, who is the head chef at La Petite Colombe in Franschhoek, and he joins us now on the show. Peter, welcome, and thanks very much for your time. First of all, just the what you've been doing with the last 3 contestants. You set them a task to make what exactly and why? Good afternoon to you.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me. So with this challenge is, with food, you need to find some connection, some form of memory that goes beyond what we eat now, something you grew up with. So the challenge is basically to dig deep into who you are as a person and to come up, which is my dish on the show, which is a viskop sop, which reminds me of Saron, where I come from. My dad's been in the fishing industry for a long time. So that's my dish, the viskop sop, and they basically have to replicate what I'm doing. So it is quite challenging.
Yes.
It is quite challenging, very technical dish, but it's also something that's very simple but very hearty to eat. So
fish head soup. I mean, how many times did you make viskop sop yourself before you said, I've got it?
Oh, many times, and that used to be the joke.
Yes,
that used to be the joke. I used to be Peter Viskop growing up. So
yes,
something that used to be a joke turned into one of the dishes that's going to be used at MasterChef South Africa. So I mean, yeah, pretty proud of that one.
Peter, you spoke about not just drawing on technical expertise, but also drawing on memory. Is that the way the very best chefs go about it? So not necessarily memory, but people talk about a passion for food. In effect, it seems you're saying that yes, there's all the things you have to master, blend and balance and all of those things, but if you're not drawing on who you are, you're probably not going to make great food. Have I understood that correctly?
That's yes, in a nutshell, yes. Because look, out of everyone, right? Like even let's say if you, for instance, there's been a person in your life that's made delicious food. For me, it's my dad, mom, grandma. So if you don't stick to those core flavors, those basic heartfelt flavors, and you put your focus into something that you don't understand or you didn't grow up with, it's going to be more challenging. I'm not saying you're not going to be in some way successful or anything, but I just feel like if you have a true connection to your food and your passion to what you do, and this can go beyond food. If you fully dedicated to your passion and you put all the effort in every single day to it, you're going to be successful in some form or way. It's just all about how much you put into what you believe in at the end of the day. So that's what I believe, and that's what I've been sticking to. So, yeah.
No, and it clearly works. I mean, Peter, let's focus and frame it around the interaction you would be having with people who are obviously aspiring not necessarily to be you, but to achieve what you have. And I'm just wondering, I mean, if we go into the world of La Petite Colombe, you have sous chefs, you've got people working with you. How do you strike the balance between, and maybe that's what you're doing on MasterChef, is to get them to do what needs doing, but at the same time, for them to some way express who they are in the light of what you've been saying. I mean, they can't just do what they like, but you do presumably want them to start thinking about their creativity and not just doing replicating what you should do.
Yeah, no, 100%. Especially when you're a junior, you don't really have a say in terms of what goes on the menu, what goes on in the kitchen, how certain things should be done, because now you're in that position where you have to follow the head chef's lead. But I'm also in a point with creating menus now. Look, my story, there's only so much I can tell. So now we have every second week we have a challenge where in the kitchen you come up with a sauce or you come up with a puree that reminds you of home. Or in terms of students, when they have to do their practicals, we work on it. We work on it, and they have to practice it out before they do the practical. And then we start digging into their background, into where they come from. But you also find so many similarities, just done in a different way.
Yes.
And that really connects the team, because currently I have about 2 or 3 dishes on the 10-course menu that's completely unrelated to me, but I have an understanding of where my sous chef comes from, where you use chakalaka or where they use mupani worms, and we bring it into the menu. Obviously, it needs to be good enough to serve. So if something's got potential, we put all attention into that, but also give so much pride to the staff that works in the kitchen, from student all the way up to head chef, that you have this opportunity to tell your story, and that's why we do all the challenges in between. So there's lots of sections, and it's not really a challenge. It's basically whoever wants to put something up, you have free will to put something up.
Yeah,
it also makes it fun.
Yeah, and it sounds fascinating. I think there's a whole TV series right there, Peter Duncan, but thank you for sharing that. Head chef at La Petite Colombe and MasterChef, 24 excellent episodes. But I have a feeling this one is going to be very, very special, just based on what Peter's been telling us about, firstly, his own journey, a little bit with his own viskop sop, fish head soup, but also the kind of processes that he's running on a weekly basis at his own restaurant, trying to draw people out and get them to connect with the food they grew up with. Don't miss it. MasterChef, this is season 6, and I'll give you the details about where you can watch in a moment. But let's do the business first.
EWN Business.
And here to do the business and tell us how an excellent day on the markets has gone, Stephen Cruises.
John, thanks very much. So Brent crude is lower, but gold and platinum are much higher, partly as a result, and that's pushed the JSE All Share up nearly 2%, up 1.9%, 117,518 points. Been a while since we've been at these levels, John. Financials are down 0.17, but industrials are up 1.13, and resources are up 5.67, and really strongly. A lot of talk this week that gold might sort of go back to $5,000, and I think that's what's behind some of this. So it's not just the higher price, it's the expectation of higher prices for longer. Anglo Gold up 9.5%, Gold Fields up 9.25%, Implats up 7.2%, Sibanye up 7%, all of them doing very, very strongly as a result. And Naspers also up nearly 4% on the day. HCI giving up some of its gains this week. They're down 3%, Canal Plus down 2.64%, Grindrod down nearly 2.5% as well. In Sasol and Glencore, both in the energy sector, or both exposed to it, both down 2%. I mean, that's obviously oil prices having an impact there. In the Spur Group saying its headline earnings for the year to the end of June have been affected by an arbitration decision. So it's a long-running dispute. The arbitration process has found Spur might have to pay out, or will have to pay out. In fact, Spur is appealing that, but has had to put aside nearly 75 million rand. That pushes its expected headline earnings per share down by around 40% for the year to the end of June. And then a surprise, a number out of the US around jobs. It lost jobs in July. The previous 2 months were also revised down, and that suggests then that the Federal Reserve will not increase interest rates, and that's having an impact on markets. It's given them a bit of a boost. So, John, in the strange way that markets work, people losing jobs means that markets are up. The Dow Jones is up 0.25%, the Nasdaq is up 1%, the S&P 500 is up 0.5% at the moment. The gold price looking a lot stronger, John, and it is now at $4,354. I mean, last week it was just below, it was slipping around the $4,000 an ounce mark. So now $4,354. Now platinum, $1,760, and Brent crude, $82.72. The rand to the dollar, 16.17. The rand is much stronger today than it's been for some time. To the euro, 18.69. To the British pound, 21.82. On the Money Show, bear in mind the rand will also be stronger because of the lack of expectation now that the US will raise interest rates. On the Money Show tonight, we will talk a little bit more about tariffs and about trade policy for the agricultural for our farmers. We'll get an explanation of what's really going on at Eskom. It's got so messy now with the National Transmission Company of South Africa, and we'll see if movies really are making a return. Isn't it always the return on The Money Show? Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Will they be back, to coin a phrase and mutilate it? 702 Drive, 29 minutes to 6. Money Show from 6 to 8. Right now, news with Mbali Dlamini.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Well, we begin with news just in. The man accused of killing Warwick Stock, popularly known as DJ Warris, has pleaded guilty to the crime. 25-year-old Armando Joaquim Pakula from Mozambique has been sentenced to 25 years in prison. Pakula also pleaded to the unlawful possession of a firearm and ammunition, as well as illegal migration. 40-year-old Juarez was gunned down in the Johannesburg CBD in December last year during an oversight visit of a hijacked building. The probe into the deaths of 2 teenagers affiliated with the prestigious St. Stithians College now involves a murder investigation. According to police, post-mortem findings indicate Cameron Waldeck Cooks may have been strangled to death, while Ethan Kutsia is believed to have died by suicide. The pair was found dead at a lodge in Mpumalanga earlier this week. While police initially opened an inquest docket, they now say a murder investigation has been launched. Police spokesperson Mavela Masondo.
The South African Police Service in Mpumalanga is now investigating a case of murder and an inquest following the deaths of 2 teenagers at a certain lodge in Sabi. The investigation is still continuing to establish the full circumstances surrounding the incident.
Some workers at a Chinese-owned factory shop in Durban have opened up about their working conditions, with one employee saying she was routinely asked to clean up after the manager's cats and dogs. The clothing shop factory was shut down indefinitely today following a surprise compliance raid led by inspectors at the Department of Labour. The raids were targeted at the industrial area of Hammersdale in the west of Durban. Tabiso Koba reports.
Workers who spoke to Eyewitness News say they were exploited at the clothing factory. They worked long hours without overtime, all while earning below the country's mandated minimum wage. Kanye Sillo says she earns 300 Rand every Friday for cleaning the entire factory and more. I
have to clean up their dogs and cats' feces. I also have to clean up their homes. They also make me do their garden, and the money that I earn for all of that doesn't make me happy.
The factory has since been shut down for several labor law violations. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Durban.
And in Senegal, 3 social media influencers have been sentenced to jail for comments targeting the president. The 3 men are affiliated with an online media platform which supports ousted Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko. The case stems from a video posted on TikTok in which the men said they had prayed for Senegal's biggest traitor to be struck by paralysis, a stroke, or to die. Although the president was never named, the court interpreted the remarks as targeting him. A fine Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, lows of between 3 and 6 degrees and highs of between 21 and 22.
Heading into four-ways, there's an accident scene in Bryanston on Winnie Mandela Drive near the N1, causing more than a 30-minute delay between Main Road and Witkoppen. Boysens heading into Soweto, traffic backed up. M1 southbound from the Crowd interchange to the N12 Uncle Charlie's interchange. Kempton Park heading into Tembisa. Traffic gridlocked on Zierfontein Road between Orange Rivier and Allendale.
The top story in EWN, the man accused of killing Warwick Stock, popularly known as DJ Warris, has pleaded guilty to the crime.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Isn't there an opportunity here, Mr. Khanyago, to say we're going to at least suggest a 2-year imprisonment? You're probably going to be out after 8 months or after a year on parole. But it's important that there must still be a punitive measure so that he realizes that what he's done is wrong and he shouldn't do it again.
There are many factors that are looked into. Even if we had come, for example, with a 2-year whatever, and the magistrate can still say, no, you can, because of the errors, because of this, because of that, you can suspend everything. Therefore, all of those things are looked into. And at the end of it all, it is going to be beneficial to the state to get the big fish. It is better to then give a deal. That is why it is called an agreement.
Kaiser Khanyago, the spokesperson at the NPA.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
This Women's Month, here's to the women who keep families connected. The homework, the side hustle, the family group chat, all of it runs through her. She deserves better than a hotspot. Net99 brings real fiber into the car seat. Uncapped from 379 Rand. Mahala installation, no contract. One connection for the whole family. Just top up and go, like airtime. Real car seat Wi-Fi. Check your coverage at net99.co.za or WhatsApp 087 245 0099.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
At Specsavers, we're committed to offering affordable and professional eye care. That's why we're offering 1,500 Rand worth of savings with our winter promotion. Get a free frame up to the value of 1,500 Rand or use the 1,500 Rand on one of our leading vision enhancements, like Climate Eyes, which automatically adapts to changing light. To qualify, simply purchase a comprehensive eye examination and prescription frame and lenses. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
EWN Sport.
So, Tolakela, I haven't asked you for your prediction for Saturday night, but I'm asking you now.
I think it'll be 2-0, John.
There you go again.
This one is difficult because
eh?
you know the South African supporter in me, what I want.
Yes.
But how we've watched the tournament has really made me very realistic about our chances in this game.
Okay. Well, there's without saying it, you're saying it.
Absolutely.
Okay. But the players are presumably quite bullish.
Absolutely, John. And it's midfielder Nonhlanhla Mthandi who believes that Banyana can weather any storm moving forward as they gear up for their WAFCON quarterfinal against Morocco tomorrow. South Africa won 1, lost 1 and drew 1 during the group stages as they finished second in Group B. And with World Cup qualification also on the line against the hosts, the winner of the tie will pick one of the 4 slots reserved for African teams at next year's tournament.
The team is feeling very grateful. It was not an easy one to get out of the group stages, but I guess the tournament has just started. For us, each and every game now it's going to be a final. So it's just, how bad do we want it? Tap our energy, and the energy is so positive.
Aubrey Mudiba says Mamelodi Sundowns are targeting improved performances in domestic cup competitions as they gear up for Saturday's MTN 8 quarter-final against Polokwane City. The Brazilians' last domestic cup was the 2022 Nedbank Cup, but they're on a high, having clinched the CAF Champions League title last season.
I haven't won a local tournament, I don't know, in like 4 years or 5 years. We really want to go back to winning local tournaments. Obviously, winning Champions League, add a little bit of that because you always want to celebrate because, the feeling of celebrating, and obviously you celebrate the Champions League and you crash out in the MTN 8. I think it won't look great to our supporters, everyone in the team. So for us, it's just to make sure we keep the momentum going.
Ma'a Nonu has been included in the Sharks match day 23 for their tour match against New Zealand on Tuesday. Nonu was a central figure in the All Blacks World Cup triumphs in 2011 and 2015, making him one of just 45 players to have lifted the Webb Ellis Cup more than once. In the interim, Dave Rennie's Chargers take on the Stormers in Cape Town this evening as they kick off their South Africa tour.
We played the Stormers a lot when I was with the Chiefs. The support we got was always fantastic, and I know they're big supporters of all the New Zealand sides that came through here, and very much so the All Blacks. So the crowd that we saw last Friday on short notice at the stadium were very, very passionate. Yeah, so it's going to be great to have those sorts of voices and numbers and behind us this week, and it's a nice way to start the tour off.
And Argentina coach Philippe Contempo has made 13 changes to his side for tomorrow's one-off test against the Springboks as he selects Santiago Carreras at fly-half in the place of the suspended Thomas Albanaz. Leonel Vedo is among 3 players who could all make their debuts off the bench against the 4-time world champions, while the Pumas are without several regular players who are either injured or have returned to their European clubs for pre-season training. Tola Gelimganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 20 minutes to 6, still problems in Bryanston. An overview of what's happening out on the roads as you make your way home for the weekend. Here's Karabo Charlie.
Yeah, it's been a busy Friday afternoon on our roads. Let me start in the north of Joburg, Bryanston. There's an accident scene on Winnie Mandela Drive near the N1, causing about a 30-minute delay from Witkoppen to Main Road and Boysens. Heading towards Soweto, traffic heavily backed up. M1 southbound from the Crowd interchange to the N12 Uncle Charlie's interchange in Kempton Park, travelling towards Tembisa. Traffic gridlocked on Zierfontein Road from Orange Rivier to Allendale. Bursley still in Kempton Park. Slow-moving traffic on Modderfontein Road between Pretoria Road and De Vickers. In Midrand, expect some delays. Heading towards Sandton, N1 south from New Road to the Petlu interchange. Tshwane, Donkerhoek. Traffic congested. N4 eastbound between Solomon Mahlangu and the R515. That's heading towards Emalahleni. Leaving the Pretoria CBD Hermanstad, traffic heavily backed up on Eskiam Pahlele between WF Nkomo and the R80. And finally, on Derstepur, traffic sluggish on Lavender Road between Roslyn Road and Bonaccord Dam. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
This week, some members of the Standing Committee on Finance took a dim view of the Finance Minister, Ino Godongwana, asking to delay the appearance of the PIC's new board, saying they needed more time to get acquainted with the job. Scopa chairperson Sogezo Zibi says he's not in favor of an ad hoc committee to probe the problems because of the time it could take to set up. MPs who have not dealt with PIC matters before may also need more time to acquaint themselves with the issues.
I agree that an inquiry into the affairs of the PIC is necessary, but the form that takes becomes a joint inquiry between the Portfolio Committee, Standing Committee on Finance, as well as a Standing Committee on Public Accounts.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
The conversation doesn't stop when you get behind the wheel. With the Prime Media Plus app, you can now listen to 702 through Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, seamlessly integrated into your vehicle. No dropouts, no detours. Stay connected to the latest news, insightful conversations, and the voices you trust, all in crystal clear digital sound. Download the Prime Media Plus app today and take 702 wherever the road leads.
What's for dinner tonight, South Africa? Hiya, Jamie Oliver here. Dinner stress? Forget it. I've teamed up with Checkers to bring you some of my favourite recipes the whole family will love. Easy peasy and delicious. Shop the ingredients on Checkers 6060 and boom, delivered in 60 minutes. Every week, 5 brand new dinner ideas. Checkers, dinner done better.
Spinner Zonke celebrates a major milestone. The online gaming powerhouse from Hollywood Bets now offers over 3,000 games. Spinner Zonke boasts unbeatable diversity and range, featuring a wealth of games from across the gaming spectrum. Over 35 of the world's top game design studios feature in the sizzling slots on Spinner Zonke. Gripping graphics and sublime sound ensure the most immersive gaming experience imaginable. Play now. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
A song, a book, and a dish.
On 702.
16 minutes to 6. Yep, it's that time of the week where we spend some time with somebody you know, but you don't know them all that well. And we ask them to choose music, take us into the books that they love, and most important, I think, we talk to them about food. Today it's a little bit more complicated because my guest, in many ways, is not all that well known by his own name. That's because he is the creator of a character that has become very well known all over the country and for a long time too. Chester Missing is not joining us on a song, a book and a dish because we thought we'd give Chester some time off with a big Monte Casino show coming up. So instead, we thought we'd speak to his creator. Conrad Koch, welcome to 702 Drive. Great to have you with us.
Hey, John, such an honor. Hi to 702 Land. It's such a great thing to be here with you.
Yeah. So you are the son of an actuary and a lawyer who went on to study psychology and anthropology and is now a stand-up comic of sorts. Make that make sense for me, please.
Well, if your parents are both studied law, which they did both, my dad
Yes.
studied actuarial science and law.
Okay.
So if you both parents are lawyers, you have to talk to yourself for a living.
Yes. So seriously, though, I mean, as a youngster, and you can date that whenever you like, whether it's when you're in secondary school at Bishop's or primary school at Golden Grove and Rondebosch Boys, are you drawn to puppetry? Are you drawn to performance? Are you keen to make people laugh? What's taking shape in those young years that gives us some clue as to where you would end up?
There's an amazing institution in Cape Town called the College of Magic.
Yes.
Where you go on the weekend. It's not like a school as in weekday. It's a weekend thing where you learn magic tricks. And one of the things, so that's what I learned and I'm talking when I'm 10 years old or so. And then when I was doing that, I also learned ventriloquism. It kind of goes with magic. They teach that as well. The guy who runs it, David Gore, taught me that. And this incredible skill kind of grew, and it fitted into the South African environment, especially when I studied social anthropology at UCT. And the South African story and our political story, puppetry and being controlled by puppets and who's really pulling the strings, as we've seen this whole Matlanga Commission is such an example of it. It's a perfect sort of metaphor. So it kind of all worked together. But I love puppets and I love puppetry and I love the joy of it because adults get lost in characters. You know, as a ventriloquist, adults get lost. People talk to Chester like adults. The president talks to Chester. It's absurd.
Yes. I want to ask you this. I mean, so we're at the dinner table. You've got parents in high-powered jobs. You've got a younger sister, Karen or Corin. I'm not sure which it is.
Corin.
Who's doing the talking at the table, and what are you talking about?
My parents got divorced quite young.
Okay.
When I was quite young, not when they were young. Maybe perhaps they were young, but I was like 11 or 12. So I can't remember exactly. But so the conversation would just be about the world. I mean, I was very inquisitive, but I wasn't very politically aware. So, you know, I was born in 1977. So this is like late 80s. It wasn't really a political conversation. It became a political conversation later on. But my mother was very into spirituality and so on. So being self-aware, being and self-reflection was something that I think was part of my life early on. And as a South African, once you start self-reflecting, it becomes quite political, quite fast, especially if you study social anthropology while the Truth and Reconciliation Commission is happening. At the other side of that is just fun. I used to do a lot of kids' birthday parties. Your sister station, Cape Talk, called me the legend of the southern suburbs in the 90s because I did so many kids' birthday parties doing magic tricks and ventriloquism. And so I have a real joy of my current show, Chester's Got Talent, is very apolitical. It's all about fun right now for me because I feel like that's what South Africans want. And some way I'm going back to that.
Yeah, we'll talk about the show you're bringing to Monte Casino. 30 September, by the way, is the opening night of that. But in terms of, if for example, I was to ask your grade 7 teacher at Rondebosch Boys, for example, what kind of kid was Conrad? Or maybe we could short circuit that and you could just tell me what I'd find in your school report.
I could tell you what they would tell you. I'm obstreperous. I like arguing.
Okay.
So both my parents are lawyers. Give me a break. I always have something to say. So I got bullied a lot as a kid. So
yes.
maybe I was, often when you're bullied, it's a self-perpetuating cycle because as you start disliking people who are nasty and have like abused power, then you become more argumentative with them. And then they're nastier to you. And then you're more chacharak at them. So it's just a cycle. So they said that I was very inquisitive. I was very curious. I think they'd say that. And also quite odd. I mean, I did magic tricks and play with dolls as a kid and is not so much into rugby. So a bit of an oddball in that way and quite sort of hardworking. So it sort of would be in that realm, like an odd guy, I think is what they would say.
In terms of the food that you chose, you favorite dish, you went beyond just a dish, but you picked a location. Anyone who's been there will know why. But fish and chips at Kalkies. Should probably be Kalkies, but Kalkies in Kalk Bay.
Kalkies, that's what you say. Kalkies, that's how we say it. Kalkies. I know everyone who comes from outside of Cape and goes Kalk Bay, and I look at them and go, I know, but we call it Kalk. I don't know why we do that.
Fish and chips sitting next to the water where the fish's cousins have been swimming, but insensitive.
I know, it's kind of psychotic, isn't it?
We've all done it, me
it's
included.
Like Julius Mkonazi taking free-range bird to jail. Jailbird.
Tell me this though. I mean, are you much of a cook? I mean, what's being cooked in your own home?
My wife and I love making a Sunday lunch type thing, but because we're both self-employed, we don't have a lot of time to really get into it. So we tend to end up making like a roast chicken or something, but we really enjoy doing that. Or my wife makes a really good curry. I'm less, she's very specific about what she enjoys. So in other words, I like cooking, but I don't think I'm as effective as she is at doing that. So I just get fired from cooking. But as far as food, it really brings people together, which is why I like Kalkies and I like fish and chips because it's very much something one can share, and it's very soulful food. It's you feel like it's food of the people, so to speak.
And you're eating with your hands. Well, certainly,
everyone
I looked, which is a lovely point of connection with the dish because everyone around you isn't. I mean, you're not going to sit there with a knife and fork. I wouldn't have thought.
No. What would be wrong with you? You get kicked out. I hope they kick you out. You probably could.
Yeah, they'll have a look. They'll sort of look at you with a bit of a side eye. I want to go to your books. You've chosen two, Conrad, but I want to focus on one because you're talking about how with your show you're stepping out of politics. You're having particular fun, and we'll get a little summary of that in a moment. But Karen Dolly, and we've had her on the show opposite. She is a terrifically good journalist who presents the remarkable things she does in a quite understated way. This one, and she's done a few, but this one is The Untouchables, Drug Lords, Dirty Cops, and South Africa's Darkest Secrets. When you read that book, were you wanting to learn more? And did you feel it was a kind of a book you needed to put down, given that you can't do the reality of South Africa, in large doses perhaps anymore?
Well, I had to read it because I helped Karen with the book launch.
Okay.
With their media platform. So I got an early edition of it, but it was incredible. I mean, I think of the Big Five and how drugs has shaped South African politics. We've heard of police being involved in cocaine busts and then themselves stealing the cocaine allegedly. So Karen goes into the history of this going way further back than that, and this amazingly sort of complex Mandrax king who undermined South Africa, you'd say, who fed into South Africa's history. So he was involved in Zambia, and there are pictures of him with ANC leaders there in Zambia and so on and so forth. So it's quite a incredible story.
Yeah, and I mean, just, the taste as one gets if you read her ongoing journalism on these themes. I can imagine. I haven't read the book, but I can imagine the concentrated.
It's only out in a few weeks, definitely with getting.
Okay.
Sorry to speak over you.
No, that's fine. That's partly why I probably haven't read it. But talk about your show, Chester's Got Talent. You're doing something different. Firstly, why? But secondly, what?
So I've leaned more and more into just very playful ventriloquism. So if you enjoy America's Got Talent or that kind of stuff, I'm finding South Africans prefer that in my live shows to hard-hitting political satire. I still do that just as a podcast. You can watch them on the socials, on YouTube, etc. Like a summary of Madlanga each week and so on. But the shows, I'm finding people just want joy, and in fact want to be able to bring their kid along and their granny along. And so I leant hard into that this year and created a talent show for the puppets. I've got a whole lot of characters that are less famous in Chester, but still very delightful. The people really love a school teacher who over-explains the jokes, and an ostrich made out of feather dusters, and a crocodile made out of 2 flippers and a car sun visor. And the puppets compete in the show in like a reality TV talent show called Chester's Got Talent, like, sort of play on the word South Africa's Got Talent.
Right.
And the audience are the judges. So they get cards and they get to tell Chester, no, that sucked, Chester. You're just a tokoloshi. I don't like you anymore.
Yes.
Why are you so rude? And it really landed very well at National Arts Festival, to the point that it won a Gold Ovation Award. For people who don't go to National Arts Festival, they give maybe 20 Ovation Awards out of the 240 shows there, and then out of the plus minus 240 shows, but they only give 2 Gold Ovation Awards. So it's officially one of the 2 top shows at National Arts Festival. Yeah, it's very fun. You know the golden buzzer in the talent show? The audience has to be the golden buzzer. So they get a microphone and they tell Chester how he sucks. So you tell, and then there's you got those party poppers. So it's very interactive, very clean for your kids and adults.
Let's talk about music. I'm also looking at the buzzer that strikes when I hit 6 o'clock. So I want to make sure that we don't just hear your song, but you tell us about the song and the singer and why you've picked it.
My wife is an amazing musician, and her name's Gia Lee. It's her stage name. And the song she brought out last year, and it's just really beautiful and puts me in a very joyful, positive space. And I think that's what South Africa needs more of in the light of what's been going on.
And tell me, while she was creating the song, does she kind of share it with you once she's done and it's finished and polished, or are you involved in the journey and the iteration?
Oh, yes. No, I have no musical skills whatsoever. So I'm very much there at the end.
Yeah, well, let's enjoy it. And thank you so much, Conrad Koch, for joining us on 702 Drive, sharing with us your song, your book, and your dish. Chester's Got Talent is on at Peter Turin's Monte Casino Theatre. You can start going and getting yourself tickets from the 30th of September to the 4th of October. Conrad, thanks for your time.
Web tickets is where you get the tickets. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Good to have you on the show. Let's take a listen. It's called Bloom. Here's Gia Lee. Sounds of Cape Town artist Gia Lee. The song is called Bloom. It is the choice of Conrad Koch, who joined us for a song, a book, and a dish. Conrad, the creator of Chester Missing. Thanks so much for being with us today and throughout the week. It's been wonderful as always. The show put together by Jonathan Fairbairn and Rifue Litsua. Karabo Malapile is our technical producer. I'm John Perlman. Have a great weekend. Good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking, turning intent into execution. That's how ABSA are invested in Africa's energy future. Good evening. On your Money Show tonight, Agri-SA raises the alarm to government about trade policies, calling for more agility as our competitors are taking full advantage. We try to get under the hood of the big Eskom dispute, the board pushing back against the unbundling of the utility. And with back-to-back blockbusters on your big screen right now, are cinemas killing the streaming star? All of that to come, but first, the very latest Eyewitness News.
Good evening. I'm